cool, but they're still doing the dumb, like,
They are.
now I haven't seen a lot of the intro stuff. I imagine that's a lot cooler.
Yeah.
So that might help as well. How are you feeling today? Better? Worse? The same?
Again, I don't feel that bad. It's just the annoyance knowing I sound like crap. So
and you have to talk for 4 hours, so people have to,
I got the
hear you
teas.
sound slightly different.
I got the tea and everything. I had some last night. I had some right before the show. It'll probably be like yesterday, where like right now, not terrible. By the time I get to 1:15, I need
A slow fade.
Sunday will be the best day for me when I don't have to talk. The issue is I got obviously today and tomorrow, and then Saturday I do 5
We're
hours.
going to need to send Spec to get you a hot tea.
I do need one
halfway
mid-show.
through the show.
I do need one mid-show.
I will say yesterday, maybe a couple of days ago, a listener told me that they were out of town and that they got gifts for me, you, Dusty,
wow. Are you serious?
and Drew when
nice
they
of
were
them.
in Cozumel. And so I figured I could give you guys these to start the show anyway.
Okay. Well, this was very nice of a listener.
Yeah, you know what? I thought it was very nice. He said, I got them for you. He didn't say we had to talk about it on the air. So for Drew, look at this. You see what he got you? This nice listener got you in Cozumel a Cincinnati Bengals shot glass.
Let's go.
It says Cozumel on it. That's cool.
And he got me a Chiefs-related one, which I left at the house.
Mm-hmm.
But because you and Dusty are the two single gentlemen
Oh boy,
at the station at the moment,
what does mine have? I would have taken the Chiefs one, but
yours looks slightly different.
Oh,
yours and Dusty's look slightly different than what
there we
mine
go.
and Drew's look like. For those of you on the video stream, you can see that their
Mine
shot
says
glasses.
Honduras on it.
All right.
You'll see that they look like women in bikinis instead of the just standard team-based shot glass. So at least a little fun to start the show. Wherever Dusty is he still back there, Drew?
No. He's gone. Do you want me to come in and get it real fast?
Tell him I've got a shot glass from a listener for him, a listener named Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Brought him
Mike.
in, so,
Thank
you know?
Mike.
Very nice.
He
I'll let
actually
him
said
know.
you could choose between the two. So if you have a preference between the two, he said one's for you, one's
I'll
for
take
Dusty.
this one.
But he
I'll
did
take
not
this one.
specify.
Dusty will enjoy the
one
other
was for
one
the
more.
other.
The other one's even more.
Scantily clad?
Yeah, I'll let Dusty have that one.
Is that the way you put it?
This one gets the job done.
But he got you a Cincinnati Bengals one, Drew.
That was very nice of Mike.
Yeah.
This one, he must. I wonder if Mike was on a cruise or something, because that's Cozumel. This is Honduras.
He must have
is it Roatan? It's an island in the Caribbean. I don't know, but that's what the shot glass says. It looks beautiful there in Honduras. So that's cool. Thank you, Mike.
Maybe another time, you know? Sometimes listeners,
Are we taking shots tomorrow in this shot glass? Is that what we're
That
doing?
actually would feel appropriate
I'm down.
for a fan
I'm down.
club, you know? Haven't done a lot of shots in fan club, but Drew, I'll leave
down.
yours here so you can get it in the break.
See,
Perfect,
now
perfect.
someone brings up a good point. Now
It
I
is
feel
a double.
bad.
What's that?
Someone says, how come Gold, you didn't bring back souvenirs from Canada? You know what?
You know, you didn't bring us back anything.
I didn't.
Did you get anything while you were there as a souvenir?
Honestly, no, I didn't.
I think, I will admit, we've talked about this with like games family or non-games family. I think the souvenir family thing is like varied. My family never did that. And my wife's family, all they ever do is her dad gets a T-shirt. Like, that's the rule. Nobody else gets a guaranteed souvenir, but he gets a T-shirt. And so, like, I think it's probably family dependent. But when Dusty's still around, just let him know I got a shot glass for him from listener Mike, you know?
I texted him. His response was, "Oh hell yeah."
So let's talk a little bit of Royals baseball to open things up, and then
Dusty fashion.
we'll get back into Trip McDuffie and some others as we get a little bit closer. I was thinking we were going to talk about this yesterday, in fairness, and then obviously the Trip McDuffie news broke. I say this with zero hyperbole, and I 100% mean it. This Royals team should have the highest expectations of any team in the entire Bobby Wood Jr. era. This team should have real expectation to win a division, real expectation to make noise in an American League playoff field. This team should have real things placed atop of it. And if they come up short of those things, Gold, be held responsible for the criticism that rightfully should come their way. This is, when you think about it, we talk about this with teams all the time. What are your questions? Everyone's paid. We know that Vinny and Bobby and Salvi, we know what kind of performance they have put up. The pitching staff is full of proven guys when they play. I understand injury can get anybody, but I mean, Cole Reagan's, Walker, Lugo, Noah Cameron's performance last season, the bullpen's experienced. What is it that they're missing? This team should be held accountable for real expectations, I think, for the first time or the most ever in the Bobby Witt Jr. era.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, there's no excuses. There's no excuses. You look at the division, and I understand the Tigers went out and made a move or two in their rotation, and they got the best rotation in the division. They got maybe the best rotation, if not top 2 in the American League. So I understand the view of the Tigers for a lot of people being the favorite to win the division. But the expectations are not just to make the postseason. It's to truly compete and win the AL Central. And to your point, further extending it about Bobby Witt Jr. and his time with this team and the core group being what it is. And even if they didn't go and get Cody Bellinger, they still, to me, made some moves to improve the outfield. There's no excuses. That goes for everybody on the roster. That goes for the front office, that they have to get this thing right. That we can, if we're sitting here in June and Jonathan India is still struggling and hasn't figured out, well, they deserve, the criticism that will come with that, deciding to tender the $8 million contract instead of allocating resources elsewhere. There is no excuse. This goes for Matt Quatrero, who, to me, has to make the postseason this year. Otherwise, he'll enter next year on the hot seat. So there's pressure all the way around, and fans should hold, and I think we will as well, hold them to that standard, which is, I don't want to be sitting here and say in June and say, well, they just had this bad break, or July they had this. No, it's baseball. Every team deals with bad breaks.
Yep.
Every team deals with injuries.
Correct.
You got to make the postseason this year and truly compete for the American League Central. I'm with you.
Like, I think about what the Guardians did last year and how they lost Shane Bieber in the first 2 weeks or whatever the season. They didn't go away. They didn't fall apart. Like you said, sometimes you do have to deal with that. Look, I understand that it could be a number of injuries that would maybe slightly have me change that opinion.
I don't even want to throw it out because people will get mad.
Yeah, but just several major injuries at the beginning, I think would be enough to at least put a place on it. But again, this is an excuse for a year, mostly because and I think it was Jack Caglione on Vern's Hot Stove Show a couple of weeks ago that really had me starting to think about this more and more the way that we were talking about it, which is, he said at one point during spring training, the team essentially just had a meeting and they were like, hey, so you guys don't get a bunch of free passes. Everyone is either a highly thought of prospect like Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen, or a guy we paid. We gave Vinny money. We gave Michael money. Salvi's paid. Bobby's paid. Lugo, Walko, Reagan. I mean, these are all people who've gotten their payday, gotten their check. There's expectation now. This isn't hope it works out in the future. No, this is a team that should be it's a team that should be winning the division, not competing to win the division. It's a team that should be winning it and making noise in a couple of playoff series. I'm not saying this team has to win the World Series. The Dodgers do still exist, right, as do some other highly priced teams. But this shouldn't be the team where a couple of years ago I was fine with and okay with. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff series. They got their ass kicked by the Yankees, but they showed a little gumption, right? All right. You made a little noise. You gave a little bit of a fight. Great. No, it's not that. This is a team that I expect to be one of the teams that people don't like coming to your building in the middle of July and August. And you're right. Some of that is the slow start stuff.
Oh, man.
Can't happen.
Every April feels like it.
We're not doing that in April this year. You're too good. You're too talented. You got too many pieces. And I understand there's still 3 weeks of things that can go wrong for the team, right? Including World Baseball Classic, at least for a couple of the teams. Fires up.
Game last night.
Yeah, there was a game last night, and I think the rest fire up starting on Friday and Saturday. So, there's a lot on the line. But it's just, I feel differently about this team than I have at any team that Bobby Witt Jr. has been on. And I mention him because he's the Patrick Mahomes of the Royals.
Of course.
And so I view his era of the Royals as its own separate time entity, essentially.
Well, because you want to see it all come together. You want to see another true MVP push for him and what that would mean, not only for him, but if I tell you that Bobby Witt Jr. is in the running for MVP, that bodes extremely well, of course, for this team's chances to do what we're saying they need to do, which is playoffs, which is win a division. If Bobby Witt Jr. wins MVP or is right there to win it in August and September, that is a good sign for this team. If Vinny Pasquantino is once again, healthy, then I feel like you kind of know what you're going to get from Vinny.
Yeah.
Michael Garcia had a breakout season. We'll see if he can follow that up. And then most importantly, I think we all recognize the outfield situation. And it's going to be one that might have to be maneuvered a little bit still. Isaac Collins, and they bring in Marte and Lane Thomas. We all know the CAG situation. It's all there. To me, they have everything in place.
The front office is trying.
As you said, it's not. I don't think they have a roster that is a World Series contender. That's not what I'm saying. But getting into the dance, winning an AL Central where the White Sox still stink. The Twins are a joke. If you look at what they're doing right now, they're broke. And then they're
not even trying.
The Guardians, they always find. I will say about the Guardians, they always find a way to be in the mix. I'll give them a ton of credit. Like no matter what happens, the Guardians are always there. And then the Tigers are going for it this year. Maybe the last year with Scooble, and we know they go out there and get Valdez.
Yeah, I know. I genuinely. Like if you look at the division too, and I understand that the Tigers still are, as it sits right now, the best team in the division because it does appear Scooble will be on the roster at least for a while. And what they did this offseason was the same thing. They're in the same spot as the Royals, but they're not in a different spot, I guess is what I want to say. The Tigers should be, as an organization and as a team, saying the same things about themselves. We should be winning this division. We should be making noise in the playoffs. We should have a chance. Fine, but the Royals are not in a different spot. It's not like the Tigers, no, they're in the same spot. Again, look at the investment. Like, take the payroll out of it for just a minute, and which it's not small for the Royals either, considering their market size. But the rotation is full of established, known commodities. Yeah. The bullpen is full of established, known commodities, even more so with the addition of Matt Strahm. Last year, they just decided MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe is how we'll drag ourselves in. They've added a few more players, like you mentioned, and Isaac Collins and Lane Thomas, who are more established, well-positioned players. And so they're in. They're in. And someone said the biggest expectation since 15, I would say maybe 16.
Because you were coming off the championship.
Because in 16, they were coming off the championship, and that was still, that's a team that makes the playoffs, so they didn't suffer the injuries they did. And they unfortunately came up short. But 17, 18, and pretty much any time on, I haven't had, this is the highest expectations for a team I've had since 2016. So 10 years. 10 years. And I think it's more than fair. You got a superstar and a bunch of other established MLB players. There's no, including some very, very good MLB players. I don't think we were talking about home run numbers with Drew or whatever the other day. And I don't think people realized that, like, Vinny hitting 33 home runs put him in, like, the top 15 in baseball. He was one of the best power hitters in baseball last year. No, because Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge exist. No, he didn't hit 60, but he was the top. He was near the top amongst the, like, non-4 or 5 guys that, put up 45, like Junior Caminero or Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh's 60. What did he hit? 60 whatever. So, like, outside of the elite, he was one of the better power hitters in baseball. And Bobby and all this other stuff. I'm glad that we're in lockstep. I don't know. Sometimes it's easy to soften it rather than put real expectation on a team. Be like, oh, no, it's okay. Just try hard.
And that doesn't mean there aren't questions, right? Doesn't mean but still, I mean, it's for this division that they're particularly in, that's why there's no excuse. It's not, I know we talk about being a close and competitive division, but they are clearly, to me, better than at least 3 of the teams in this division.
Yeah, I agree. The only one I think you can make an argument for is the Tigers. And look, the Tigers are good. And the rotation is good. I would say other than the rotation, though, I like every other part of the Royals roster better. I like their lineup better, I like their depth better, and I like their bullpen better. So if we say 3 major areas, bullpen, starting pitching, and lineup, I actually still favor the Royals in 2 of the 3 categories.
We'll talk more Royals baseball throughout the show today. Josh Vern, you're our Royals insider, going to join us at 12:30. We're also about 15 minutes away, talking more NFL draft a little bit with a couple of the injury concerns, the measurements, how much they matter, and all that when it comes to pick 9 for Kansas City. But I do want to pivot to the Chiefs. We know yesterday the news broke around 10:45 or so during our show about Trent McDuffie, and we spent the whole show discussing the big trade that went down. And we're still waiting to find out what the exact contract eventually will look like for McDuffie with the Rams, but it's going to make him the highest paid corner in the National Football League. Yep. And now that we're away from the initial reaction, maybe shock or disappointment for some people, depending on where you were at with the trade, I did want to step away for a second on just what stands out about his time in Kansas City. Of course, he wins a couple rings. He wins two rings with Kansas City, and he was a huge part of why they won those rings. He was a shutdown corner. And so I was thinking of individual plays, though. The first one, you and I did not talk about this before our pre-show meeting, and we were going through our rundown, and we're all right, we're going to talk about this. What was the moment that stood out? And you were both you and I right away said the Germany game. Like that's one of the moments that I will always remember, because that week Tyreek Hill was talking a lot of smack. He was on the Miami Dolphins, as you guys recall at the time. And that was the game where you had Tyreek Hill find a way to strip Tyreek Hill had the football stripped, and he was shut down by
completely shut down by Trent McDuffie.
That was in Germany.
Chiefs lead 14-0. They'll throw it in the near side. Tyreek Hill hit right in the stomach. Fumbles the ball. Picked up by Kansas City. Tyreek Hill with the catch and a fumble recovery up the sideline. Here comes Mike. It's it. Ryan Cook. 10-5. Touchdown. Kansas City.
It was fumbled, of course, by Tyreek Hill, but Trent McDuffie, he did not recover it, but he was there on the coverage. And then Mike Edwards, the reason why Mitch Holthus said 3 names in the one call is because Mike Edwards, remember, lateraled it to Brian Cook at the end. That's why he was like, Mike Edwards, Cook. It was a lateral at the end.
Cook is eventually the person who scored, but I remember that as being a Trent McDuffie play.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first time they'd really faced Tyreek Hill. And you said he was talking trash, and then Trent McDuffie made that play. What's crazy is, because of the type of corner he is, so many of his all-time plays, Gold, are just unseen, unknown, unacknowledged, essentially, because he was shutting down some receiver on the other end. Although he did have a game-closing Super Bowl ceiling stop, So it's like I think those are probably the two for me, Gold. It is either the Tyreek Hill play, because it's such a memorable play, and the way he stripped the ball away, the way he got the turnover, the way he embarrassed Tyreek Hill on that. And he got shoved down earlier in the game as well on that play, and they just kind of beat him up for existing.
There was also the 4th down on that same game, the 4th down pass breakup that he had on that particular play as well, which was crucial.
Snead was the one who shoved him down on the one, but yeah, he was just shut down in that game. Trent McDuffie's the one who ripped it away. So a lot of it is just remembering those plays and then remembering the Super Bowl ceiling play.
Yeah, this was the one, I believe it was to Deebo Samuel, as you were bringing up. It's the 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl in Vegas, and it looks like Brock Purdy clearly has Deebo for a touchdown. And then you had Trent McDuffie.
3rd and 14 for Brock Purdy and the 49ers at the Kansas City 37. Snap to Purdy. Chiefs are blitzing. Purdy steps up. He's got time. Lofts it for Deebo Samuel in the end zone, and it's broken up and incomplete. Spectacular play by Trent McDuffie.
A lot of plays like that. Yes, he did not have a bunch of pick sixes. He did not have a bunch of interceptions, but it was consistently taking a receiver out of a football game.
Can I say one thing that I absolutely, and this is this just speaks to why he'll be hard to replace. One thing I'll absolutely, not an individual play, but what I'll remember him for is he was both an excellent tackler, maybe the best tackling corner in the NFL, and an excellent blitzer. I understand Spags has sent a lot of different guys. Snead was an excellent blitzer. Cook has been an excellent blitzer. He's good at just sending defensive backs. But I do and will remember Trent McDuffie for his tackling ability and his ability to blitz. Because for all those years that we're I know he's not getting interceptions, he still forced fumbles. Like Trent McDuffie, not just on the Tyreek one, he was good at getting to players and bringing them down. That's going to be the part that you don't realize is difficult to replace, by the way. Jalen Watt's a good cover corner. He can't, nobody on the team tackles like Trent McDuffie does at the cornerback or the defensive back spot. He's the best tackling corner in the NFL, the AFC, arguably. I mean, who's better than him? I guess at that point, maybe, I guess there's probably an argument for Surtain, who's also an excellent tackler, but that's about it on the list.
Yeah, a couple people texting in, and this was the 4th down pass breakup. They said, don't forget to play yet on Tyreek in the playoff game. That one gave me chills. I believe that was on a 4th down in a pass breakup, and he kind of didn't he just stand? Didn't he just I'm trying to remember the exact play.
He just kind of stood there and
stood up Tyreek basically. He was all over him.
But that's his biggest plays are just essentially not somebody else not being able to get their job done. Maybe his first interception. That would be the other one that stands out because if you remember, we talked to him at multiple training camps about never having an NFL interception. The first time it happened, he had mentioned that on the Jumbotron, of all things, Gold. Yeah, he saw that the ball was coming his way.
That was a game where I think the Chiefs defense had 4 or 5 turnovers, and McDuffie got his first pick. And yeah, he said he looked up real quickly at the Jumbotron that he knew that the pass was thrown essentially.
Winston will throw, pressured from the right. Winston holding the ball, looking downfield, firing for the end zone. The pass is going to be intercepted. No, it's incomplete. Intercepted on the far side. Trent McDuffie gets his first National Football League interception.
And then, yes, in postgame, we get the story about the Jumbotron actually assisting him.
It makes sense. They had 4 or 5 turnovers. Jameis Winston was throwing the ball around.
Jameis.
Typical Jameis fashion.
I will say the text line's bringing up one that I hadn't thought about in a while. They're saying, I remember when he made Jamar Chase cry.
He was very good at shutting him. He was that was
he
the
made
one.
Jamar Chase mad in that game. Jamar Chase was throwing his helmet down.
I think it's because of the hip. I think he hip drop tackled him is what it was.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
I was like, I just remember him being like angry,
that's the one where he got
angry
pissed on the field and got
Jamar
the
Chase.
flag and everything. I think it was a hip drop tackle that Jamar thought should have been called.
I also thought that but like I think the frustration was because he was bullying.
Yeah, he was getting locked down.
That was
kind of the way that it always had been.
God, I'm gonna miss Trent McDuffie. You know
that is why I am very happy. You know what? That's also why I
it just depends on it until they replace. Because right now it's easy to be happy if you're an opponent of the Chiefs because Trent McDuffie's gone, but you don't know what's going to be in place of him yet. So it's like you're up against ghosts essentially for the moment. So it doesn't.
Him versus Jamar Chase is more of the iconic matchup, I guess, if you will, just because of those battles. Because Jamar Chase, he won the Triple Crown last year. Barely did anything in that game that they played. Yeah. Two seasons ago.
And he led the NFL in catches, yards, and touchdowns.
He won the Triple Crown 2 years ago.
Trent McDuffie shut him down.
He held him to maybe 50 yards.
Wow, there's the one game where McDuffie had one reception for 4 yards on 2 targets as the nearest defender.
Yeah.
And I think that was the game where he just completely isolated him and shut
Which
him down.
I think goes to the point that you're saying, Cody, where you're not going to remember Trent McDuffie because the plays that he, like the ones that stood out to you. You know, it's the ones that you don't see where he's, you don't even notice that the guy's there and he's a top 5 wide receiver and he's literally absent from the game because this guy is in his hip pocket.
Where do you guys put him, do you think, or where would you think Chiefs fans will eventually put him? Fast forward 10, 15 years from now. Where does he rank in corners in Chiefs history? He won 2 rings.
He should be higher on the list than people are going to say, but he doesn't have any, like in terms of the memorable plays. Like we just played a couple of them, but
he doesn't have all the interceptions.
Yeah.
Marcus Peters has like 15 interceptions or whatever it is. And so like he had 8 or something his rookie year. So like when you I think people won't remember as well. But I mean, from this era,
Emmett Thomas is the greatest corner in Chiefs history.
I know, but
I mean that's what we're talking about though.
But in the dynasty year, he's got to be like the 5th most important player of the entire dynasty.
No, that's why I'm asking where he's at. I think he's a top
3
5
corner, top 5 corner in Chiefs history.
I think it's always tough to compare eras, but
and he's only going to end up being a Chief for 4 years.
Correct.
3 years.
It's a smaller time frame. I mean, the 2 guys that I think are definitively in front of him in Chiefs history, without question, that I don't know if there's really much debate, it's Emmett Thomas and Albert Lewis. And then we can start having a conversation. We get into the Dale Carters of the world.
And the people who were there for like a longer stretch of time. From a talent perspective, he is one of the 3 most talented corners to ever play for this team. He's probably one of the 5 most important, but I would argue, Gold, he's a top 5 most important player of the dynasty. Maybe they have another dynasty and we can have a conversation about that one. But for this previous dynasty, the only players who are above him are Patrick Mahomes,
Chris Jones.
Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and Butker. Like I'm making the argument for he made a lot of big kicks for the team over the course of a number of years. But I mean, that's kind of into Frank Clark.
Yeah.
Like he's in that same category of the 4, 5, 6.
I mean, clearly in this run, in this run, he's one of the pillars. I'm just talking about in all-time Chiefs history. I think
top 5.
I think he's not much higher than that though. I mean, I think
he'd need to be here longer.
People will weigh the Super Bowl rings quite a bit. But I think you go Emmett Thomas and Albert Lewis and you start looking at Dale Carter and then you maybe start to get to McDuffie at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the list. Somebody says, was 4 years with 3 Super Bowl appearances enough to get him in the Ring of Honor? Probably. I'm sorry, but if you get multiple, like if you have 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 rings, do you see something like, and this is, I won't like single out. Have you seen some of the last couple of entries into the Ring of Honor? And it's not like a knock,
here we go. You're just gonna you're just diminish guy's career. Keep going.
I'm gonna go ahead and clip this too for social media. As a matter of fact,
I'm just saying I think Trent McDuffie is more than worthy. We had a conversation on Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, he should be in the Ring of Honor.
He was here less than Trent McDuffie with a lower impact.
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu should be in the Ring of Honor one day. Trent McDuffie should be in the Ring of Honor one day.
Yeah.
Do you have a name you want to sing?
No, I don't. That's probably not wise of me. Just call out.
Someone says no Orlando Scandrick in your top 10. No, he did not. He just barely missed my top 10 corners.
Yeah, him and Cooper were just right next to each
Marcus
other. Almost
Cooper or Orlando Scandrick almost got on the top 10 of all-time Chiefs corners.
Drew, I know you haven't been here as long. It's hard to imagine now because Spags has been so great for so long. Right before the Spags era, Chiefs corners, like the group, were getting cooked every millisecond by every quarterback in the NFL. We all have like horrible memories of Peyton Manning legitimately just started pointing at Marcus Cooper on every snap, like, well, there he is, and I'm going to throw at him. And you're like, oh, we're not going to do anything about it? Just going to let this happen? And they did for the entire half. And they had to put him on the sideline of that, like, Marcus Cooper, when targeted today, 7 catches, a gajillion yards, and 4 touchdowns. Or whatever.
Sounds like Riley Moss to the Broncos now.
It was pretty tough, man.
Yeah,
it was
barbecue chicken.
Now people are just texting in some interesting names, like Eric Warfield.
God, that's just like a name I hadn't thought about in a really long time.
I remember Dan Sorensen getting cooked a lot, too.
Mm-hmm. He also had one of the more important plays, though, in the dynasty run.
He just
got about what happened.
He went back to BYU. He became an assistant
I saw that.
defensive back coach at BYU.
Good for him.
Dirty Dan Sorensen.
Up next, let's talk some more Chiefs, though, as it pertains to the NFL draft. And also now after the Trent McDuffie trade, what position is a little lower on your list when you look at the free agent crop compared to the draft? That's coming up right here on Cody and Gold.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Tune in for the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day, starting at 11:30 right here on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure what the best option is? Selling a home, especially when dealing with foreclosure, divorce, job relocation, or an inherited property, can feel overwhelming. That's why I don't just make offers. I help homeowners understand all their options so they can make the right choice with no pressure and no obligation. I'm Rex, a local homebuyer and resident right here in Kansas City. Whether you're looking for a fast cash sale or just want to explore your choices, I'll walk you through the pros and cons of selling to me or listing with an agent. If selling directly is your best move, I'll offer you a fair cash price and a closing timeline that fits your needs in as little as 7 days or on your schedule. No repairs, no commissions, no hidden fees. Just a transparent, hassle-free process so you know exactly what to expect. Let's talk. Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com for a free, no-pressure consultation. Rex Buys KC, helping homeowners make informed decisions with confidence.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-747-7676. 800-747-7676. Again, that's 800-747-7676.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Kansas City, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch all your favorite shows right from your phone, computer, or tablet. Every day, we stream the shows live on YouTube, plus clips from the biggest moments and biggest guests. Hit that subscribe button so 96.5 The Fan goes right to the top of your feed. In your car, on your phone, or on your computer, we are everywhere. This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Scott Parks, and we've launched Beyond the Pitch KC, a podcast on how Kansas City landed the world's largest sporting event, presented by Commerce Bank. Visit commercebank.com/soccer26. Subscribe on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
All right, we're just getting going here on a Thursday. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Coming up in about 8 minutes, we'll get to priorities at the free agent level, because next week, Monday, we'll start seeing all the legal tampering stuff.
It's just a few days away, man.
Yeah, we really are right about to get into it, and we know the NFL offseason is some of the best time of the year in terms of the overreaction and usually the overpay in free agency, and typically, and we can pull up the trends again, the team that spends the most money in free agency, it usually does not equate to winning a Super Bowl or anything like that. It doesn't mean that you can't improve, but just keep that in mind. You're always overpaying free agency. You always will overpay. So
there is no great deal to be had. Maybe in round 2 or 3 when the guys don't have the regular contracts, but
yeah, typically it's you overpay in free agency, and that's why it's important to have a bunch of draft picks and build your young core through the draft, and that's what hopefully it looks like the Chiefs are going to try to do. But we'll talk some free agency in a second. As far as the draft goes, you guys know the names by now. I mean, we've all been circulating the names that are being discussed at 9, and Caleb Downs is a really intriguing prospect that a lot of people think could be the best player in the draft, but he's a safety, so you get the positional value argument. But there's also the speculation out there about, is there a knee an issue? And then Ruben Bain, it's all about the arm length. We had Matt Miller on the show yesterday from ESPN. I mean, he laid out some of the trends, which teams, of course, are well aware of, and that is around Bain and the shorter arms. Now, here's what he said about Bain and whether or not he'd still take him.
I think sub 31-inch arms as a pass rusher is a destiny. No one's been drafted in the first round in the last 30 years with sub 31-inch arms at edge rusher. No one's had 10-plus sacks in a season with sub 31-inch arms. So you're looking at Ruben Bain and you're saying, are we betting that he's the difference? Yeah.
And he went on from there, and the question is at 9, now that you have an additional first-round pick, are you more willing to take a risk than you were 24 hours ago?
Still no. And I know that this sounds like, I understand you can still go high upside because you now have an additional first-round pick. You are never going to pick at 9 again in the Mahomes era, unless you trade away another great player, and it happens to go the Rams' way, right? And the Falcons just have an awful season, and you find your way climbing up the draft board because of a trade you made. If it's not that, then the answer is no. It's weird at 9 because I feel like this is going to end up with a position I don't like. At 9, my general sense now is I would like the best available player who also has the least amount of major question marks. As in, I don't have to overcome some historical factor in order to do it in Ruben Bain. It's why, I wouldn't do Bain. I mean, number 9, I don't want to take the chance that taking him at number 9 means they have to take a chance on historical significance, saying he won't be as good as some of the other people around. In Downs now, it's maybe the knee somehow concerns me. Now, in fairness, if I go 100% best position available with the least amount of questions, I'm just stuck taking a right tackle, I fear. So I have to have a little wiggle on that, Gold, or I'm just stuck taking whatever right tackle's left available. But I think that's why wide receiver ends up becoming interesting to me. What are the questions on wide receiver other than Tyson? So let's just take him off. Injury. Major injury questions. Tatum, Mekhi Lemon are standard NFL wide receivers, good prospects, good performance, no real questions at a position of need. And it's not even to say, I would take Bailey, but I don't think he's going to be there at 9. Or Arvell Reese, but I don't think he's going to be there at 9,
As we talk this out more, though, and I don't disagree with much of what you said, as we talk it out, it sure seems like we're all kind of now essentially saying, well, then maybe trading back is actually the best move. And that's tricky. It's easy to say because there has to be a team wanting to trade up.
Yeah.
Like we always say, like, oh, just trade back as if it's just an automatic thing. This isn't a video game where you can like force the computer to accept the trade.
I saw someone do like an entire Chiefs thing where they just traded all their players for known players.
I'm just I agree with you though that look, every player has some question marks. Some have more than others. And yes, I hope the Chiefs are never picking in the top 10 again in the Mahomes era. But they're like even the offensive lineman, the Fano or whatever his name is, like there's some question about his arm length. Like, so there's no perfect prospect. But if we're going to play the game of, I want them to take the surest thing, I don't want to risk it at 9 and all that. Well, then it sounds like you want to almost trade back a little bit and add another pick and minimize the risk even more. Or do you go ahead and just say, no, this is the time we're taking at 9. We're at 9. I'm willing to take more risk because I have pick 29 and I have pick 40. So you want to get all 3 right, but truly, if you get 2 of the 3 right, that's a hell of a draft.
I will say there's a huge part of me that if they trade down, I am far, far, far more willing to take the risk. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be willing to take the risk, right?
According to Matt, though, you'd be taking a risk if you did go outside of that because you'd be outside of the first round grade window.
Yeah.
So I think you just trading back is trading back maybe in a way even more of a risk actually than taking downs because you're hoping for a player you're taking a player at 14 that's not a first round grade. So is that actually more of a risk taking them in the first round than it is taking downs, even with the question marks, because you know that he's that good of a player?
That's fair. The only thing I wonder what would change on draft night is, let's say the Chiefs get, they're on the clock. It's an hour or so into the draft, or it's pick 9 in Pittsburgh. And while people agree there might be only 11, 12, 13 first-round grades, what if the Chiefs, though, they're the top of their board, let's say somehow they get lucky. And
3 of them are still available at 9.
3 of their top-graded guys are still there at 9.
Unlikely,
and there's a team it's very unlikely. But if a team wants to trade up, well, then I think you could do both. You could still get your first-round graded player and trade down. That's kind of actually the dream scenario. But I just wonder if we talk it out. Doesn't mean the Chiefs are viewing it this way. As we talk it out about the players and who you like and risk and positional value, I feel like basically people are saying they want them almost trade back.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And look, I understand. Because if I said surest, here's the problem, Drew. Like if I said surest player, least question marks, Love, Downs,
might be an offensive lineman.
Fano. Like it starts getting into positions.
Delane, maybe.
Yeah.
Because he does have many question marks.
And like he's a little undersized as a Spags corner, I think as Matt Miller pointed out.
I just don't know if I want the they trade
Delane's 6 foot tall.
They trade McDuffie and then immediately go spend the 9th overall pick on a corner. And McDuffie was only the 21st pick or 22nd pick in the draft. I don't think that's a smart way to just move on from McDuffie and then immediately spend the most premium pick you've had in the entire Mahomes era right away on a corner. You want to do it at 29? If you want to take a right tackle at 29, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about 15. You tell me they trade from 9 to 15, there is no position I'm upset about anymore. In a weird way, I can accept tackle. It's still not my preferred, right? I'd rather they be in the defensive line, wide receiver game, but they also might be able to get limit at 15, acquire more picks. Then at 29, they can make a choice on whether or not they need to come up or down or be where they need to be. They have a lot of draft flexibility this time of round. And at number 9, it's like, if they're going to stay at 9, I just want I don't want a major question, right? I don't want we're trying to defy history kind of question. That's where like Downs at least entered the conversation because the maybe potential of a catastrophic knee injury or the fear over it. But he's probably he's quite a bit lower than Bain maybe on this list. But anybody who is like too undersized or has those big questions, and I think that's why the top 9 we're seeing, I think a lot of teams have a very similar 9 to 12 first-round picks. I think in this case, a lot of times there's a variant in it, and that there is a little bit of difference in opinion. I think that this year there's not. I think everybody's list of the 9 people they think are first-round picks are the 9 guys we're seeing mentioned. Reese, Bain, Bailey, Downs, Love,
Styles,
Mendoza, Styles. Like, I think it's the same. I think there's a little bit of variance towards that 9, 10, 11 range, but I don't think there's a lot.
Hey, Sonny Styles, he probably goes ahead of the Chiefs now just based on the combine he had. But if Sonny Styles is there at 9, if you want a player that's got no questions in terms of like, Sonny Styles actually might be the guy in terms of tested well, leader. It's not a position.
Good college numbers.
It's not a position at all that you need really. It's linebacker.
Unless they think, some people think he can convert to a D end.
I don't think size wise though. I mean, he's 6'5", but I think he's so good at what he does, you almost want him playing linebacker.
I mean, the reports out of it are very impressive, right? I mean, I think it was The Athletic that said basically one team even gave him a standing ovation after their interview. Like that's I would love to know what team that was, but like that's how impressive I guess he was in the interviews. And good for him. Like he helped his draft stock.
I mean, he's 6'5", 244, and has 33 inch arms. He could definitely play defensive
end. And ran a
end.
4.4 or something. Or
My
4,
problem
4,
is like they're describing essentially like this is how Leo Chenal tested through the roof. He played some defensive end for the Chiefs last year because he's so versatile and capable. But I'm not taking a pick at 9 who's an out. If he's going to be a stand-up off-ball linebacker, hell no, don't waste 9 on it. But if you're planning on putting him on defensive end and you think there's a real thing happening there, then maybe we can have a conversation. What's interesting about this is like, and because I'm looking forward to free agency too. We mentioned Caleb Downs.
Yeah, I can't wait for next week.
Because of the way the combine went and where I think the depth of the draft is, and admittedly, I'm not Matt Miller or Binkley and the people who really study it. But if you go through and really look at the options, safety is off of my free agency list. I'm officially team draft a safety. The only guy I'm entertaining is maybe bringing Cook back. If it's not him, just roll with Hicks, draft another guy in the second or third round, and immediately put him on the field. This is a really, really deep, super athletic, versatile safety draft class, which is Steve Spagnuolo's bread and butter anyway.
There's a lot of good safeties.
There are tons of good safeties. I don't even want them wasting free agency dollars on it. I'd rather them find a swing tackle or another linebacker. It's another good free agency class and draft class for linebacker. I don't see a reason to be spending free agency money on safety at this point with this many available in the draft.
So I'm curious, because you said you wouldn't be mad at any player. If they trade, let's say they trade back to 15 and Dylan Thieneman is still there from Oregon, safety, freakishly athletic, tested extremely well. You want a safety at 15?
I'll take a chance.
That's not Caleb Downs.
Because they have pick 29, I can deal with it.
And they would have acquired another pick of maybe another third
because
pick.
Thielemann was early second round. He's jumped his way into the 20s in some mocks.
If they didn't have pick 29, the trade down wouldn't be enough to tell me any position. Does that make sense, Drew?
Yeah,
It's the combination of the things. Like Gold said, they have 9 and 29. If they traded down, they now have an additional third to go with it. So what you're telling me is they have 15, 29, 40, 70, 74. It's like, I'll take a chance at safety at 15 if they think he's the dude. Because I will say it's a missing part of their defense over the last 3 years is having a versatile safety. So it's weird for me to say don't spend free agency money on safety because I think that might have been part of the missing element on 3rd and long and 4th and long and some of these spaces where the Chiefs defense got in more trouble. They didn't have Justin Reed and didn't have Tyrann Mathieu. I think I'd just rather draft that guy this year, Gold, than spend free agency money.
Much like running back, or the opposite of running back is what you're saying, right? Which is you can use free agency on running back. You don't need to use draft capital, at least high draft capital. You're saying don't need to spend money on a safety in free agency.
For a position that's as good as it is, at least in this draft, it sounds like. Yeah, for sure.
Where would you put, just out of curiosity, the early look at it before anything's said, where would you put your free agency dollars first if you were the Chiefs?
Running back.
Running back. Where would you put it second?
Defensive lineman, but that's it. But again, that market's weird, right? It's a market in which maybe Bradley Chubb is out there. You get into the what's his name that got traded to Philadelphia, Jalen Phillips. It's that market which is going to be more aggressive than you think. It's more expensive. Then wide receiver is where I would go. But I still think their best chance for not just next year, but for 27 and beyond, to actually fix the defensive line is still through the draft.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no free agent they're going to sign on a 3-year deal that I want them to. On the defensive line, that's just going to solve the problem.
Trade for the Vikings guy.
Oh, sure. I'm interested in trading is a different conversation. Absolutely.
Little news out of the NFL. Adam Schefter now reporting the Chicago Bears are working to finalize a trade that will send wide receiver DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. This coming off of yesterday that it was announced Stephon Diggs is going to be released by them. Compensation is still being discussed, he said, and the trade cannot be processed until the new league year next week.
All right, Buffalo.
But both sides are pushing to make it happen. So it doesn't sound as done of a deal as like the Trent McDuffie one, but you know how this works.
Enough to be reported.
The second that he starts putting it out there, they're just finalizing a deal. So DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. Look, they had to bring in a wide receiver. I kind of thought, and I saw a fan-sided article today, Gold, it was, the trade I want to do for Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah.
They were saying that, but for the Buffalo Bills. Is DJ Moore a significant upgrade over Stephon Diggs, or do they just think Stephon Diggs is going to get like put in jail or something? Any
wait,
like
the Bills or the Patriots? Because Stephon Diggs hasn't been on the Bills since 20.
Oh, I'm sorry.
DJ Moore's going to Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. Sorry, I was getting mixed up. You're right. Yeah, DJ Moore to the Bills.
The Bills have no receivers. They need. They absolutely have to
He
go.
isn't as good as Stephon Diggs, but he's the best wide receiver as soon as he gets there. Yeah,
DJ Moore immediately is the number one wide receiver.
Shakir's a two.
But is he a good enough wide receiver to be the Bills' one? I guess is my question.
Yes, because they have nobody else.
What's tricky about DJ Moore for Buffalo? So this year he's actually. Let's see. Is this the updated contract for him? Yeah, he signed a 4-year, $110 million contract. He was a $24.9 million cap hit last year.
So they're going to have to pay him.
So I wonder if there's a contract extension coming for DJ Moore in Buffalo, perhaps, or something. I mean, he's technically under contract through 2029, so they don't have to do it, but it'll be interesting to follow that. I think that's a nice move for Buffalo. I want to see what they gave up. Obviously, we don't have that detail yet. Exactly what the... Is it what do we think? Is it a third-round pick? Is it
probably
second-round pick, conditional second, something like that? The Buffalo desperately needed wide receiver help. I wonder what this does for the A.J. Brown market, because Buffalo was a contender for A.J. Brown. I guess theoretically they could still be. Imagine if they had A.J. Brown and DJ Moore.
I
doubt
gotta
it.
say, DJ Moore doesn't feel like if I were the Chiefs, and the Chiefs need wide receiver help, and this was the move they'd make, I'd be like, yeah, it's fine, but is it enough? Like, maybe it's because he's coming off a bad year, or he's coming off back-to-back years of sub 1,000 yards. I assume he'll get more passes his way in Buffalo, although they were one of the most run-heavy teams in the league last year because they had to be. It's definitely an improvement on their wide receiver unit, but it's not like for Mahomes, right? I want his receiver for the next 10 years. They didn't find that in DJ Moore.
No, and here, some of the detail, it just says mid-round pick compensation. So
mid-round sounds like fourth or fifth almost. More than it does a third.
It's definitely not any better than the third. It's definitely not any better than the third.
Based on what's the middle point of 1 and 7, 3 or 4. Got it. So normally they say late round for anything 5th through 7th.
I'm guessing
so
it's
you
a
think
third
a
or
third or fourth.
Yeah. So that's a trade that just happened in the NFL. We'll get the final details, but I do think now if you're in your own division too, if you're the Patriots, I feel like even more reason you got to go. I think the Patriots need to go out and trade for A.J. Brown. The Bills just got DJ Moore. You cut Stephon Diggs. I think they need to go get A.J. Brown. I would love for the Chiefs to consider it with the extra picks. I don't think they're going to, but I would love the Chiefs to look at it. But I think in that division that you're in, if you are New England Patriots, A.J. Brown's really intriguing.
I guess that's another team that we think probably wouldn't go after Mike Evans as well, because that's another choice for New England. It doesn't solve their problem in the long term, but Mike Evans could be a Patriot, and that would still at least give them some flexibility or some options. I saw a couple of cap guys say that with DJ Moore's number in Buffalo, it would be hard for them to go after Mike Evans if they were thinking, hey, let's double stack a couple of these guys. Because they still have to draft a wide receiver. They still have to find the young guy, and they've been trying. They've been trying to find the young dynamic wide receiver.
Something like that, somebody in the later rounds.
They've been trying in Buffalo. They're just not getting anywhere.
Would you have made let's say it's the third round. Would you have done the DJ Moore trade if you're in Kansas City? Let's say it's a third round pick.
No.
Here's his exact contract details. $23 million cap hit this year. He'll be 30 after this year. And he needs a new contract, moving forward, most likely. So there's some dead money and all that. Like you could get out of it early, but third round pick for a soon to be 30-year-old wide receiver, I'm not so sure I'm interested in that.
I got to say, and I think this is part of the reason, because like the initial instinct is, why the hell are the Bears letting him go? They got a young...
Well, they like Luther Burden. He came on strong, and so they have
Roma
Dunze, and then Luther Burden was really impressive in the final couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, like when they drafted Burden, DJ Moore was probably on limited time anyway, but Burden looked good enough to me that I'm like, yeah, I could see why you'd probably just move on from DJ Moore. Probably says more about their other guys, although Roma Dunze has never quite lived up to where he was drafted.
I think that's fair to say.
He had a really good start to the season, then kind of tapered off. I don't know if it was injury stuff or whatnot, but he had a really good start to the year where he was getting, 6-7 catches.
Was he?
A game, something like that, I think, and then it tapered off because Burden got.
I still think they're going to probably want to add some sort of veteran wide
Is Mike
receiver.
Evans a lock to even leave Tampa, or can he come back?
He can go back. I mean, he's a free agent. He can go back.
Because I think that part of the conversation, I know that it sounded like just like the family aspect of it is like, is his wife essentially cool with him cool with being in a place that's colder? It sounds like that might actually be a legitimate thing where Mike Evans already has the ring. If he, if he wants to go back to Tampa, then It's not like it's set in stone. He'll be somewhere else next year, I guess is what I'm trying to say. More than anything else.
I will say, Josh Allen, we complain in Kansas City. Josh Allen's wide receiver unit's been worse. Like
the
now,
Bills room
he's got
stinks.
James Cook, right?
Yes.
But they've tried. The sucky part in this where Brandon Beane gets to keep his job, which is also another reason why I feel like sometimes the decision won't be made right. It's not been from a lack of effort. They spent a first-round pick on Keon Coleman. They spent a first-round pick on Dalton Kincaid. They've spent free agency. They paid, they have made and Khalil Shakir was a second or third round pick. He wasn't like a low pick. Or no, maybe he was fourth or fifth. But they've made a concerted effort to find Josh Allen weapons. So they're like, we got to get somebody with some level of stability. And DJ Moore is certainly that, right? I mean, he at least offers them some level of stability as an offensive end. But another big move. Are we expecting a few more of these? A.J. Brown, Crosby?
Well, Albert Breer reported that by the end of the week, Crosby and A.J. Brown would get traded. It's Thursday. Got a couple more days.
Shouldn't the Ravens also be interested in A.J. Brown?
Yes.
They have, because along the same lines as the Bills.
Yeah, they keep trying.
I don't even think the Bills are trying. The Ravens are trying. The Ravens got Zay Flowers, but that's it. They don't even have Isaiah Likely anymore. He arguably has been better than Mark Andrews has been when he's played last couple of years. They got Rashad Bateman as the number 2. It just hasn't. It feels like the Ravens should be all in on trying to get. I mean, you pair him up with Lamar, up with Zay Flowers, who would be the 2, and Brown as the 1, and then you get Derrick Henry. I mean, all of a sudden, it helps Lamar out a little bit more.
It is kind of crazy. It's like the way, DJ Moore feels like he's been in the league forever. He's the same age as A.J. Brown. They're both under 30. But that's the problem. This is the best time to have a wide receiver, but 3 years from now when they're 31 is one of the worst times to have it. They peak out in the late 20s, 27, 28, but then the crash comes quick, I guess. But if you're the Bills, you still got to be trying for a Super Bowl every single year. You got to sell your soul.
I was going to say, it just depends on where every organization is at. It would make no sense for the Raiders to trade for A.J. Brown. To me, that doesn't make any sense. I understand you have a young quarterback coming in, but they're not in a position to win in the next year or so. But the Ravens theoretically are in position to be a top AFC team. Buffalo is in position. I'm not saying they will be, but they're in position to do that. Kansas City with A.J. Brown, if you had A.J. Brown for 2 or 3 years, it would make sense. It would not make sense for 1 year, but for a guy that if you think he's going to be here for 2 or 3 years, that's a move that makes a lot of sense there. I mean, I would take a look even if I was, some of this will be, Alec Pierce said he is going to test the open market with the Colts, even though because he didn't get a franchise tag, as we know. They put that on Daniel Jones. So does Alec Pierce shift the thinking here? But I think we get another trade. I don't know if it'll happen during our show this week, but I think by Saturday evening, there'll be either an A.J. Brown or Max Crosby trade.
Look, I could be wrong on Alec Pierce because we're always predicting where these free agents are going to go. Alec Pierce, to me, based on where he was drafted, the way his NFL career started, right, where he was just like a 600-yard guy each of the first 2 or 3 years and then took a big leap forward. I think he's a bounty I think he's the most likely free agent this year to take the highest check from the worst team. Alec Pierce to me does not reek of, I'll go take the slightly less money from the good Ravens team. He stinks to me of, I'm the Raiders number 1. I'm the, I'm just whoever the bad team is I'm the Dolphins number 1.
If I was the Raiders, I'd be all about paying Pierce.
Pierce makes more sense than trading for A.J. Brown for them, yes.
And then draft another guy with your first pick in the second round. I'd load. You got to help. You got to give your guys some help.
Yeah. Someone says Dana Jones with transition tag, not franchise. Yeah, but they did not franchise tag Alec Pierce. Is the point.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Yeah, he can go anywhere.
And will make a lot of money as a result of it. All I'm saying is he just kind of reeks to me of he won't choose the team with the best chance to win the Super Bowl. He will choose the team with the deepest pocket, and that's fine. I don't blame Alec Pierce for doing that. He's 25 years old and he's. It took him a little while to get his career up and going, so maybe he wants to play with a competent, but he can talk himself into Fernando Mendoza, being Fernando Mendoza's number 2 target behind 100%. Brock Bowers. It's not because I assume Bowers will be the number 1 target of any. As good as he was, if he's healthy, I got to imagine they'll do that. But still, Odunze, Loveland, Burden, I don't think the Bears are hurting either.
So again, if you're just joining us, a trade just going down in the NFL, the Chicago Bears moving on from veteran wide receiver DJ Moore. He's getting traded to the Buffalo Bills for a mid-round draft pick. Up next, we'll let you know if we get any more details on that trade. Plus, the division that the Chiefs are in, what splash could be coming next week from the Broncos or the Chargers. There's some rumors out there. We'll get to them, and what one would maybe concern you more than others. That's coming up right here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Bobby Witt Jr., and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds.
And we feel great.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and lose the weight or stop smoking. Only $59.99 guaranteed or your money back. Hypnosis, Wednesday, April 1st at the Wingate by Wyndham, Kansas City. Formerly Sure Stay Plus by Best Western in Kansas City. Lose weight hypnosis, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis, 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
As the seasons change, it's time to prep your HVAC system with a $49 seasonal tune-up from Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. A tune-up can help save money on your energy bill and help prevent expensive breakdowns. As your local home service experts, everything we do is backed by our exceptional service guarantee. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews adds up to dependable service from neighbors you trust. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
It's tax time, y'all. If you want to file free, this next one's for you.
Now taxes is so free. Tax-free edition only. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple form 1040 returns only. Now this is tax.
Love that jam. Up next, commercials.
Intuit TurboTax Free Edition. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, student loan interest, and Schedule 1A.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Oh, hello. It's me, the calculator that lives inside of TaxSlayer. I love numbers. Like 100, as in 100%, as in TaxSlayer's 100% accuracy, guaranteed. And 0, as in $0, as in it costs $0 to file and get the refund you deserve with TaxSlayer Simply Free, if you qualify. Simply Free is available to a limited number of taxpayers with age, income, credit, and deduction restrictions. See TaxSlayer.com for eligibility requirements. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Wendy's has a new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion with Girl Scout Thin Mints cookie pieces, rich, creamy Frosty, and a mint chocolate cookie sauce. Which means Girl Scout Thin Mints and Wendy's Frosty, yeah, they're basically best friends now. It's like two delicious desserts just high-fived, snapped a few too many friendship selfies, and then rode a tandem bike down a never-ending road of mint chocolate Frosty perfection. So, swing by Wendy's and try the new Thin Mints Frosty Fusion.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
You already listen to 96.5 The Fan, but are you following us? Our Instagram is loaded with show clips, breaking news, mock drafts, and content you can't get on the air, like Thy Royal Decree and Chiefs Take Tuesday. Go to Instagram, search for The Fan 965, and hit that follow button. If you don't do this immediately, Dusty has threatened to do a photo shoot in a bathing suit. Kansas City's FM sports station, 96.5 The Fan. The Drive's Pop-A-Shot Tournament is Wednesday, March 18th at DraftCade starting at 6:30. This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. We'll get to the trash of the day. About 20 minutes or so. You guys can always interact on the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. Video stream up and running on YouTube, Twitch, X, and Facebook. You can check out the show there. Also, ability to chat through that as well. If you don't want to use the text line, you can also just chat there. Cody keeps an eye on the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on the text line as well. We will certainly welcome your guys' conversation with us as well. I want to see how you guys are viewing the AFC West right now, because Jonathan Jones yesterday had reported that the Broncos are expected to make a major splash in free agency at the running back position. That will naturally make you think it's got to be Kenneth Walker, right? And so what
Sure.
happens for the Broncos offense if I tell you they have Kenneth Walker to go with R.J. Harvey? They had J.K. Dobbins last year. He was effective when he was healthy, but yet again, he can't stay healthy. So it looks like they're probably going to move on from J.K. Dobbins, even if Dobbins has said he would like to stay in Denver. If they get Kenneth Walker and it's R.J. Harvey with Walker and that style of offense, does that change your feeling about Denver heading into next season at all?
Yes, and a little bit, although I guess they just drafted R.J. Harvey, so I'm a little surprised they're not as high on him as originally I guess I had thought.
Most teams use two backs, though.
They do, and obviously I think they're still trying to do what we think they probably should do, which is protect Bo Nix, and at least some capacity in a way where if you have a dominant running game, then you can avoid some of this stuff and be a little bit more careful. I point this out, like you pointed it out, but it's like the Chargers have a ton of money. Like the Chargers have a new league, or like NFL leading $94 million in available cap space. So the Chargers have $94 million to spend, and the Broncos have money to spend with a quarterback on a rookie contract and now Russell Wilson's contract out from underneath him. I think the Broncos and the Chargers both are going to go big in free agency, and it's because they still see the Chiefs as a wounded animal. Their best chance to still get out of the AFC is where the Chiefs are, in their opinion, down a little. And so for the Chargers, I would say their expenditures need to come in ensuring that the offensive line is hurt-proof, right? Make sure guards better. Make sure centers, like the tackles, presuming some health, and get a swing tackle. Make sure you are injury-proof from the end of you can't get in trouble, and then improve your defense closer to what it looks like there in Denver, where the defense was good, but find another way to get some pass rushers. So I think that they're both going to be big spenders in free agency. My guess is for Denver, it's going to be all weapons, all things for Bo Nix. Because on defense, it's still young. Yeah, it's good, man. It's still got at least one more year, I think, of elite level play before the drop-off happens out of just natural diminishing returns of a defense. But they got at least one more year left. So for them, it's got to be running back. Can you add another bottom, like a bottom of the depth chart wide receiver that improves it? And can you ensure that the offensive line, again, is injury-proof, kind of like the Chargers?
I also wonder if, and maybe this will be in the draft, are they a contender to draft one of the top tight ends? They brought in Evan Ingram, and he didn't really pan out the way they kind of expected. Could the Broncos be aggressive and draft, one of the top tight ends? And I haven't been following Denver Sports Talk Radio, what position that they think they're going to draft and all that. I guess I should check in. But I wonder, to me, if that offense that they run, would it not make a lot of sense if they went out and tried to get an Eli Stowers and spent a high pick on
Kenyon Sadiq
or Sadiq if he's there?
They
for
tried
the
to get a tight. They tried to get a tight end last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
They signed
Evan Ingram. That's what I meant. But
Evan
he didn't pan out quite as much. He had a great year in Jacksonville the year before, and then wasn't quite the same last year. Yeah. I just wonder that in that offense, the Sean Payton offense, the style of play, what would actually concern me more as a Chiefs fan a little bit would be if they went out and got Sadiq or Stowers, one of the ridiculously athletic tight ends, to go with their offense.
Especially because Sadiq is such a good. I know it's marginal, but he's such a good blocker too for what they do in the run game as well. Like being able to have a guy that. Not that there's a tell, but if Sadiq's out there, there's really no way to know if it's a run or a pass. Where some guys, it's like, well, they pass on 80% of the plays that this guy's in, so we know it. We can guess it pretty good. It's a pass play,
I guess part of this goal
is
balance
it out.
Sometimes we can look at the historical aspect of it too that really helps us. Who was the tight end when Sean Payton's offenses were
Jimmy
at their
Graham.
best? Bingo.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
When his offenses were humming.
Former basketball player.
In the
elite athleticism. Yeah.
In the Drew Brees heyday, like when that offense was like, wow, that's one of the 3 best offenses in the league year in and year out under Sean Payton. They had
So I'm saying, I wonder if
they
they
had
could
a
go,
receiving tight end, you know?
I wonder if they could go tight end there. I think they're a candidate for one of the top tight ends in football. So we'll see. The Chargers, I'll be intrigued with where they could go in the draft or free agency. I know we started talking about just free agent targets because of the money, but it got me thinking about the draft a little bit. You look at the Chargers, where could their free agent dollars be allocated? I still think for them, yes, defense, if you were to take a look, like honestly, if a Jalen Watson doesn't come back to Kansas City, I could see the Chargers be interested in pursuing Jalen Watson to bolster their secondary a bit.
How much money do they have in cap space?
Cody just said the number. It's like
$94 million.
Yeah,
so it's
like
a healthy amount.
So could they sign
one of the most? I think it's the most. In
They
the
could
NFL.
go and get an edge.
They could. You know, I still think there's not many other than Trey Hendrickson. There's not an edge that a team could sign where I would think, oh my gosh, it's just changing everything for them. But yeah, Trey Hendrickson. You know, they don't have. Could the Chargers go and sign him? That would be a hell of an addition to that defensive unit. Remember, they lost their defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter. He's the head coach in Baltimore, but they bring in Mike McDaniel. Well, Mike McDaniel loves run schemes, right? It comes from Kyle Shanahan tree. So their running back situation last year got a little dicey because of the injuries, but they did just draft, what's his name? The not Dylan Sampson.
Omarion Hampton.
Omarion Hampton. So,
and they got Vidal too, who's younger,
who was decent last year in fill-in duty. So could they be aggressive still and either spend money on a running back? I don't think they're a Kenneth Walker candidate, but could they still look at an offensive weapon? And I do think at some point the Chargers are going to draft another receiver because Ladd McConkey was awesome rookie year. Last year, I think teams figured him out a little bit.
Quinn Johnson was better, but it still doesn't. It feels like they have a couple of number 2 guys more than they do.
I guess I'm curious if you guys are viewing them the same way I am, which is the Chargers have to get this offseason right for me to think that they're a competitor in the division again. They have real roster problems. Look, they got plenty of money to solve some of their problems, but they aren't as sure, I guess, from a roster standpoint as I view Denver as being like secure in their positioning. They got a lot of money to spend, but like they go sign Trey Hendrickson and he only plays 6 games because his back doesn't feel good. They could cause themselves problems by getting these decisions
could be like
wrong.
a Leo Chanel, like a guy that you just load up on a couple. It's not like you pay one guy big time money. It's a Leo Chanel, some of this money here, a lower tier corner to have some more depth at this position, and then somebody who's cheaper on the defensive line that you could find maybe.
Odds are wrong all the time, but I will say at FanDuel, the Chargers are the favorites to win the division right now. So as much as we're saying all this is, again, it's a sports book and it doesn't predict the future, but it's just the Chargers are plus 175, the Chiefs are plus 190, and the Broncos are 2-1. I mean,
I think the Broncos would be a much
They're-
better bet in that scenario. They're about the same.
Look how tight that is. I mean, between all three.
Yeah, because they don't know what the free agency period is going to bring. But like, I don't think we want to ignore the fact to be like, well, Chargers just be fine if they fix their offensive line. They've got oft-injured offensive linemen. They got, again, plenty of money to
they're
spend.
very good.
Yeah, but like they've got questions at wide receiver.
I don't think they're going to spend any more on that. I think their offensive line is
Their
kind of
line's
set.
really good.
Yeah,
It's just got to be healthy.
exactly.
Man, you think so?
Yeah, it's sad. They're not
Joe
gonna
Alt and Rashawn Slater.
They should not be spending a ton of resources on their O-line this offseason. Like, you just have to bank on guys staying healthy. I mean, it is what
I think
it
they
is.
should do both. I mean, they've got the money. They need to make sure that they are essentially injury proof, I guess is the way I would put it.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't think after the picks that they spent and the money they have spent, like, I think it's one of those, like, for it to work for them, period, and for them to have any sort of run, those guys have to pan out and be healthy. If they're not, then it's a mess because then you're paying backup offensive linemen way too much money. Like the Chiefs did it with one player, Jalen Moore, last year. The Chargers are not in a spot where they want to be able to. They're to me are wanting to take advantage of the cap space and go and get a couple
They also
playmakers.
cut a guard, I think, or maybe
Did they?
so. Like, I think they do need more. Like, maybe not a tackle, which is what we normally talk about. People need to talk, but like, I think they do need
Mekhi Becton. Yeah,
In general,
but I mean,
it
he's their
looks-
starter.
In general, it looks like they need their biggest needs are interior offensive line, defensive line, and edge. Like defensive line across the board.
Yeah, but the guards are cheaper than tackles, though. Like they
They
don't,
are.
they don't, I mean,
They're
Mekhi
not cheap,
Becton.
but yeah, they're not. They have the money. I think some big moves. I think the Chargers will be one of the biggest movers in all the free agency. I don't know if it's going to work or not, or whether they'll successfully choose it. But I do think they're going to be one of the biggest players in this thing. Denver, for me, it's just if they get an elite level running back or an elite level tight end, it's a problem. They choose the wrong tight end, and it goes the way that we've seen really the last couple, like Dalton Kincaid and a couple of, it just depends. Does it go the Bowers way where like they're just immediate impact guys, or does it go the Kincaid and who's the other guy? The second tight end that got taken in that by Green Bay in that draft. Musgrave ended up being almost a better player.
Luke Musgrave, yeah.
Was it him, Musgrave? I thought there was one other.
They took Luke. If it's the Packers, they took Musgrave. They also took Tucker Kraft as well.
That's it, Tucker.
Tucker Kraft has developed into a really good tight end.
Yeah. But Musgrave ended up being like having his.
He ended up being their second now. Yeah.
Again, though, like spending the most money in free agency doesn't, guarantee. You overpay. It doesn't guarantee success. There's trends out there. The fact, the last 15 years, the top 11 lowest spending teams over the past have maintained winning records. However, some of the top highest paid teams did not automatically increase their wins by 2 or 3. And usually the bad teams are the ones that have the most cap space, right? I mean, even remember last year the Commanders had the most cap space. You guys remember that? How did that season turn out for them? I understand the quarterback got hurt, but still, their OC is gone.
Not good.
It did not pan out very well for the Washington Commanders. So the most cap space does not usually equal, and whoever spends the most doesn't equal success.
No, last year it was, I guess. Last year it was better than normal. Here are the teams who spent.
The Panthers spend a lot too.
Yeah, the Patriots.
Here are the teams that spent the most in free agency. The
them.
top 5 teams last year in free agency. The New England Patriots.
Yeah,
I'd say that worked out fine.
Sure.
They went to the Super Bowl. Minnesota. That didn't go great. Giants. Now maybe some of theirs was injury, but Seattle. That went pretty good. Tennessee, Carolina, New Orleans. These are teams that didn't do anything for.
The key thing with Seattle, they got the quarterback right. That's why it worked.
Yep. That's correct.
They got the quarterback right. That's why everything else came into play.
But I will say, like, if you look at the teams who spent, like, you almost want to be in the middle. The teams who spent the least certainly took a drop off. Philly, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, Dallas. These are the teams who spent the least last year. Cleveland, the Raiders, Pittsburgh. I mean, these are teams that at least took some kind of step back in some capacity.
Yeah.
The Chiefs spent the 23rd most in the NFL last year. Yeah, I feel like it's those teams in the middle that get the most benefit, as in, yeah, we know we got to spend money, but we're spending that money wisely. We're not just throwing a bunch of Hail Marys down the center.
Sure.
Now, I will say 2 of the 4 top spending teams last year in NFL free agency found themselves in the Super Bowl. But to your point, they also got quarterback correctly.
Quarterback played at an MVP level in Drake May, and the other one, Sam Darnold, ended up being the story of the season as a quarterback, and all of a sudden was a number 10 quarterback.
Is it almost like too simple to just look at, well, the draft is not as good in these areas this year. It's not as deep in these areas. These are the ones that we need to go and address in free agency compared to the ones that are good, the positions that are deeper. We're going to address those needs in the draft. Is that too simple of a way to think about it? Because I feel like, because you're talking about balance, Cody. You want to be in that position where if you know, hey, corner is a little bit deeper this year, safety's a little bit deeper, I'm not spending that money in free agency. I'm drafting a safety, but then this group is not as good at defensive line or edge.
Well, sure.
Then I'm going to go and do like managing that from a balance perspective and not just, well, I'm just going to spend it because I got it sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the job of...
That's what the bad teams do.
That's the job of the GM. The Chiefs have to evaluate, do we think we can... This is the whole running back, I think, conversation. It's like, do we think we can fix running back in free agency spending this, or do we love the entire depth of the running back class? Everybody talks about love, but maybe there's a running back they think's going to be there, or 2 of them in the 3rd round, and they think, oh, we can do the same thing and not have to pay any money really to that rookie 3rd round running back and get it done. So yeah, that's they get paid to figure that part out.
And like we pointed out in the top spenders, one of the reasons Seattle is one of the top spenders, they paid for a quarterback, but chose correctly. For the other teams who might pay a quarterback this offseason, you choose Kyler and choose wrong if you're Miami or whatever. Well, then no amount. Yeah, but like they'll see one of the biggest improvement if they choose Kyler and it's right. If Minnesota chooses Kyler and it's right, well, then yeah, they will see one of the biggest improvements out of any team in the NFL. Again, it's not like, but that's not only it, right? Obviously, Denver was right around. They were fringe top 10 in free agency spending. Some of the free agency spending, the money they spent, like on tight end, didn't exactly work out for them. But they also paid some defensive linemen who ended up being steals and a running back who ended up being a good price, and J.K. Dobbins, who helped their offense for the first half of the year. I just think the division is going to be busy. Obviously, the Raiders are the number 1 overall pick, so they'll be busy.
There's an updated, as we look more at free agency as a whole, there's an updated top 100 now that we're post-franchise tag and everything like that.
We know who the free agents are.
Yeah, and we look, some of these we've known. You know, Trey Hendrickson, it was obvious a couple days ago once they announced that they weren't going to tag him. So Trey Hendrickson's listed as the number 1 free agent target. Really doesn't impact the Chiefs directly. It could indirectly, right? If one of their contenders go and sign him. And the Chiefs I would be shocked if they went and spent that kind of money on Trey Hendrickson. I think he would be awesome to have on the team, but it just doesn't feel like that's in play for them. That'd be a stunner.
Not.
He's 31 years old.
He's going to demand $30 million a year.
The number 2 free agent listed, Tyler Linderbaum. They're obviously not signing a center, so don't have to worry about that. Jalen Phillips is listed as the 3rd best free agent. I'm intrigued by him. I just wonder, is that dollar amount more than what the Chiefs want to spend? But he's 27 years old. He has injury history, though, but he was awesome for the Eagles when they acquired him midseason. After being traded, he had 2 sacks, 27 pressures just in the middle of the year and learning a new system.
Him opposite George Karlaftis, and all of a sudden, I don't feel like they need to. Like, all of a sudden, 9 at defensive line doesn't feel nearly as much pressure.
See, I would still
I'm not
draft.
saying not take it, but I'm just saying it feels way less pressure packed because Karlaftis, Phillips, and Chris Jones is a successful defensive line.
Of guys that you could bring in.
Jalen Phillips, you signed to a 3-year deal. Chris Jones is on your team for another year or 2. Karloff's on your team for another 3+ years. You still have development or Omar Norman Lott in Gelati, and then you draft at
Bain
9 or
26.
you draft Bain, and you can take more of a risk on Bain because you've got a guy immediately in Phillips who you know can help him learn from. Like, that would be a way to actually, I think, kind of fix a little bit of your defensive line. Now, Phillips' contract, what's the projection on that? Because I think he is going to be a bit pricey. But the Chiefs are going to spend money on somebody. Like, I don't think,
they have
bargain.
$50 million in.
They have other moves they can make to still free up. They can restructure Trey Smith if they wanted to free up some more.
I've got another name for you that is.
$50 million, but they have a lot.
Real quick, the projected salary, 3 years, $52 million is the spot track projection.
But to Drew's
That's
point,
not terrible.
If you brought in, and this top free agency list, look how many defensive linemen there are in the top 10. Jalen Phillips at 3, Owe edge at 5, interior defensive lineman John Franklin Myers.
He's the guy I would be interested
at 8.
in.
Jonathan Allen just got, he's going to get cut. So there's another guy who'd be available. Like, there are quite a few. And if you took Bain at 9 or Bailey at 9 or whatever, you just take a defensive lineman at 9, and you have Karlaftis, and you have Chris Jones, and you have Owe or Phillips or Boye Mafe. Well, now, like, you got a rotation. You have enough people to bring this thing in, and you can spend the rest of the draft hunting for running backs, wide receivers, like safeties, corners, whatever you feel like you need to be on the hunt for. At least you can get in there. How long till you get to a Chief, by the way, on this list? Who's the highest rated Chiefs for
Jalen Watson.
Jalen Watson.
13th. He's just in front of Malik Willis, just behind Mike Evans.
How long till my guy Travis Etienne comes off the board?
Brian Cook's 22. Etienne's 21.
Okay. I mean, the Chiefs are losing 2 of the top 22 free agents, according to them. That's not
Chanel's 40.
insignificant.
Chanel's 42 on the list. He's just in front of Rico Dowdle.
You know what's going to bother me about Chanel is that I don't even blame him for being on the list. Someone's going to figure out how to use him better, and I'm going to be annoyed. Leo Chanel is a freak athletically, and I think what happened here is that he is not a perfect fit for the way Spags operates his system. I think if you put him as a stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker, he is going to be a problem.
They put him up this past year. They started to play him out the edge a little bit more.
I know, but I think someone's going to get maximum value out of Chanel that's not Kansas City, and I'm going to be a little annoyed that he didn't. And I think some of it is scheme. I don't think he's a perfect fit for what Kansas City does. I think he will be a better fit for what a different team does, and he's going to be like. I think he's going to be a better player in this first free agency contract than he was in Kansas City.
Could be.
What's the projected number for John Franklin Myers?
The former Jet.
He had 7.5. He had 7.5 sacks last year. He's an interior guy, but can
spot track projected market.
Can go outside.
Again, this doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. They project 15.7 over 2 years. 7 points. So $8 million. Let's call it $8 million a season.
Is that it?
That's what Spot Track's saying. Maybe they're off, but
I mean, I would be interested in that.
That can't be right.
That doesn't make any sense.
That feels so low.
He's the 8th best free agent on this list.
That can't be right. This is from February 25th. Projected value of 7. That is way too.
If that's it, then I would run to the house. For anybody.
The thing is, he's an interior defensive lineman, so we're not talking edge here.
He had 7.5 sacks. I think that's part. Like if you pair him up, and he also can. Like he moved around, at least according to this little.
No, Spot Track here is again. Another site has it. Both. I mean, so that's what they clearly are projecting.
Oh, I'd pay him in a
It's
heartbeat.
because he's an interior guy. That's why. That seems like a very conservative number. I would be shocked if he got a 2-year deal for 15.7. It's probably more like 2 for 20 at minimum, if not more. Like he's not getting $24 million a year though. He's also not getting that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're getting him for 8.
And I guess in a way, he kind of would stunt the growth of Norman Lott if you brought him in anyway. So maybe not as much.
Somebody on the text line 913-586-7965 from the 816. Have you guys completely given up on Felix? To me, you can't count on him. I don't think he even makes the roster. That's where I'm at.
I think he will make the roster.
I guess yes.
I haven't given up on him to be a situational, rotational defensive end. So like.
I'm surprised.
I mean, that sounds like giving up on him.
Come around though a little bit more because you were full on out in week 2 or 3.
Look, he's a bust. We don't have to
for the
Chiefs.
He was picked, yes,
he's a bust. I didn't like the pick from the beginning. I still didn't like. I don't like the pick. It's not like going back to that. But in the 17 games he played 2 years ago, he was like a 3-sack guy. That's what I mean by you need guys like Felix and Uzomah on every defensive line. You get 3 to 3.5 sacks. You play 35% of the snaps. You're athletic and you can set an edge. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but I think he has a place on the team. Alex is not wrong. He definitely has a chance of getting cut because the price tag's going to be steep. But
well, the price tag's not steep. He's just
he's a former first round pick. He's still probably making some money.
It's nothing crazy. It's the part of it's the money. That's not even like my first reason. It's just like truly like the numbers game. Like I think they can just move on. But yeah, if you want to know what his cap hit is this year,
almost $4 million.
Yeah, and that's not nothing. It's nothing. If you really thought he could help you, you obviously don't move on from that. But I just think he could be in the team's camp, and then you just move on.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah.
Because let's put it this way. No matter what, there's no long-term future here for him.
No.
I mean, this is it. So even if he makes the roster and he has an okay season, they're not signing to an extension. I just saying, if there's somebody else that you can draft that you have control on for another 4 years, I'm keeping that guy's getting a roster spot over Felix and Enrique Uzomah. That's my only point.
Even
about
if they're a third or fourth round guy,
yeah.
Because they will have Omar, Norman Lott, and Ashton Gelati as a part of the defensive line rotation as well this year. Gold's talking about drafting a guy, you sign a guy, all of a sudden the 7 defensive linemen you have, he's 7, right? Like he's at the bottom of the list. That's all we're talking about.
All right, let's get to the trash.
Trash of the day.
So there's a new study. I figured Drew would be more interested in this one as well.
Oh, okay.
He's probably even more of the music guy on the show, I would say. Not that you don't listen, but just he's more of the music guy. He's always talking about some new album that came out or whatever. I'm actually listening. The new Bruno Mars album is very good. Just came out last week. Very good. Yeah. Anyway, on Spotify. So there's a new study from researchers connected to Harvard Medical School. They found a link between a big music release day and unfortunately a spike in deadly car accidents. So they unfortunately they use data from a federal traffic fatality database and Spotify charts. And the team tracked the 10 most streamed albums between 2017 and 2022. And on those same days, there were albums dropped by artists like Taylor Swift or Drake. Streaming activity, of course, jumped by 40%. The correlation they're making is while traffic deaths climbed by 15% the same days.
On Fridays, notably?
Wow.
Or weekends?
This comes from Vice, but it's a
big
Harvard
music
study.
release is having us all crash our cars?
They are working on a paper, statistically significant correlation, correlation causation thing, but still significant correlation between the release days of the world's most streamed albums and a spike in U.S. traffic fatalities. So I guess what we're saying is on a day of a big album release, be more careful out there on the roads.
People are jamming out, not paying attention.
Here's more detail. So streaming surged 40%, traffic deaths jumped 15%. While a 15% increase might sound modest in academic speak, in the real world, that's a lot of people, of course, this is from the article, a lot of people unfortunately dying because they were swept up by the rhythm and plowed straight into a wall.
So they're just so into the new music.
They're all about it.
They're so excited. Like,
you buying this?
Drew didn't stop talking about, well, I don't know, maybe. Drew didn't stop talking about the new J. Cole album for like a month straight. So, like, we can't rule out the fact that Drew was spinning that thing so hard in his car, he's just man, I'm just so into it, can't focus.
I don't know about this study.
What am I doing?
Look, it's a Harvard study, it's reputable, but also, like, this is a correlation, causation. I don't know if I'm buying it.
Coincidence? I think not.
I don't know, man. I think there might be a little bit of something to it.
Someone says Drake album makes me want to crash my car anyway.
The recent ones have not been as good, of course, yes.
Yeah, he's never been.
The recent ones have not been as good as the...
I genuinely think it makes sense. I think you're trying to listen to the music harder. You're trying, like, if you're a Swiftie, right?
It's turned up
you're
louder,
totally
yeah.
paying attention for what are the little Easter eggs? It's turned up louder. It's on repeat. Anything that distracts you from doing it. Does that mean I shouldn't be listening to audiobooks in the car? Is that too distracting?
I feel like
So
you're more
listen and
focused. I don't know about you. So I don't listen to audiobooks in the car. I would feel like you'd have to be way more locked into the sound.
The book than
music. Music, you just kind of. I think audiobook, you're way more focused on what you're hearing.
You would think so, yeah. That feels like maybe I'm putting myself in a dangerous spot.
So what music would make you wreck your car then?
Oh, man.
Is there just like
What
some
was
artist?
What was the album that I was in my entire life? Because and I like listening to new album and stuff too, but I more just stumble on them, Drew, than I'm like, here comes the new album.
Yeah.
I think the last album I remember being excited to come out when I was a kid was Take Off Your Pants and Jacket from Blink-182.
Okay.
I was psyched for that album to get released. I bought the CD the day it came out.
There you go.
Pumped it in the car.
You didn't get in a crash on your way to get it, though, did
No.
you? Because that would be
No,
the
I
moment.
didn't.
You were such in a rush to get the CD.
I had to go, I had to go to the store to get that CD, Drew. I didn't,
back in the day when
just put it on
yes,
Spotify.
I know what that is. Yeah, I follow.
Now I'll search out some new music, but it's very rare that the day it comes out, I'm like, I gotta listen to it.
Okay. Yeah, so honestly, what I've mainly been listening to recently is just on Spotify Top 50. It's a playlist, and it automatically updates every day. So when there's new stuff that comes out, eventually those become...
So some of the same songs get repeated, but some get cycled out.
And
for
sometimes
new
all of a
things.
sudden a song from 15 years ago will end up in the top 50 because people are listening.
Like Stranger Things.
Well,
when
randomly,
that one,
all of a sudden, randomly Irish from the Goo Goo Dolls is popped in there. People all of a
Why
sudden...
is that song popular? That's what
Because
sucked then.
it's in the top 50 again on the Spotify. Whereas there's 4 Bruno Mars songs right now in the top 50 because he just came out with the new album. So I like the top 50 playlist because it just rotates and it's fresh with some new, some old. Yeah. I don't know. I think people said this might make them crash their car as well, though.
Somebody did accuse me of that the first time they played.
That's the trash.
Do people crash their cars when I put out new songs for the show?
Probably. Man, oh man.
It's so popular. People are locked in.
They just can't help themselves when a
they're
new
locked in.
song from me drops.
I think when they hear stuff like
Happy Daddy Day,
I think that's like, or mainly this. Like that. I might drive in. That's when I drive into a wall. Ugh. All right, up next, let's get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Talk more about a company suing Mahomes and Kelsey. Oh, yeah, we got an update on that. Plus, more on Trent McDuffie and some of the moments in his career with the Chiefs that stand out.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night. We got conference tournaments starting now, and of course, next week right here in Kansas City. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. So here's how it works. You build any college hoops parlay you like. The early tip, maybe it's the rivalry game, the ranked matchup, the late night West Coast shootout, you name it. Then you mix the spreads, the totals, the props, whatever fits your read of the slate, and then you just apply your profit boost and instantly bump up that potential payout. So you can go safe. You could go a little more spicy with it. You could go with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. FanDuel, play your game. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay requirement. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable Boost Builder tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-284-1238. 800-284-1238. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-284-1238.
If you need a new appliance, this is your sign. Shop at Lowe's now to get up to 35% off and next-day delivery on hundreds of major appliances. A new appliance now means an easier to-do list later. Our best lineup is at Lowe's. Valid through 3/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Order by 4 p.m. Available Monday through Saturday. Subject to availability. Fees, exclusions, and restrictions apply. See Lowes.com/appliance delivery for more details.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Drew Brees here. Whether you're on the field or on the road, having the right team on your side makes all the difference. I learned that the hard way. On the field, you don't go anywhere without a solid O-line. And when your car breaks down, you want that same kind of protection. That's why I trust CarShield. Their protection plans help you tackle expensive repairs so that you're not blindsided.
Visit carshield.com now and join the team that's helped millions of drivers save. Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
Hey, it's Scott Parks, and we've launched Beyond the Pitch KC, a podcast on how Kansas City landed the world's largest sporting event, presented by Commerce Bank. Visit commercebank.com/soccer26. Subscribe on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Text line's a mixed bag. Somebody says, I definitely almost had a near-death experience vibing to Pasquantino. But somebody else just said, Cody's especially make me want to crash.
Yeah.
So, mixed bag, per usual.
Mm-hmm.
Standard. I don't know, what's my next song going to be about? Gosh, I don't have anything on the docket right now.
Probably be draft related. Pittsburgh. Maybe Pittsburgh related.
I very nearly wrote a song requesting Travis Kelce to return, but then it became pretty clear he was just going to return without a song.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel like it was right to produce it. You know?
Okay. Well, I'm glad we haven't had one in a while.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's get an update on a story that happened last week, and then we can get into some more Trent McDuffie stuff. This is Chiefs adjacent, which is, you guys probably saw the story. There's this company suing Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's restaurant, 1587. Have either of you guys been yet?
Nope.
I have not either. I
thought you had like really early plans to go.
The day they opened up reservations, I tried. And now, in fairness, there's a listener of ours that has reached out and said, hey, if I want a reservation, you can give me a reservation. I have not taken him up on that. I appreciate it. I think Carrington and Rob did, so they have been. I'm planning on trying 1587 at some point. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, this company, 1587 Sneakers, is suing them because of the name, right? 1587 Sneakers, 1587 Prime. And the lawsuit is still going on, but yesterday, a federal judge denied the sneaker company's proposed, they tried to have an emergency request to temporarily shut down the whole restaurant. Like, they wanted them to shut it down.
They wanted an emergency injunction to just close them up?
And the request also asked for 1587 to be blocked from selling or promoting products using 1587 or 1587 Prime. The judge denied that in the emergency request. Now, the lawsuit is still going on, so it doesn't mean like it's all over. But this, I don't know. It feels like, obviously, 1587. It's their numbers. Did they know that 1587? This feels like somebody's trying to get the 1587 sneaker name out there.
Yeah, and look, in fairness, for them that it'll work because it's not like you and I knew that of that sneaker brand up to that point. I guess if they're in different businesses, what do I care? Like if they also ran a restaurant called 1587,
sure,
so be it. Or if you were a brand as big as like Nike, I don't think you and I could open up Nike restaurant, right? Like I think there's a limitation to it in some capacity. But what, we're stopping every single one?
If they had the trademark though, then wouldn't the original plan to name the restaurant 1587 not work anyways? Because the trademark would have existed.
A trademark dispute?
Exactly. If it actually was there, it would have. They would have said you're not allowed to call it that.
Here's the thing.
Trademark.
Trademarks can be related to the field in which you work. Like, I mean, it doesn't
directly to the shoes.
I don't get to own Tap Incorporated in every single industry that's ever existed just because I filed a trademark.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's different things depending on what you sell and offer.
I think this shoe company is doing it for a PR move. As much as you're going to spend money, but they're getting their name out there. I think
if
that's
anything,
what's happening.
wouldn't you be happy if somebody accidentally just searched 1587 and instead of getting the restaurant, and it's 1587 Prime for what it's worth, but accidentally got your shoe company? Like in Kansas City, mine's not likely going to show up, but if I accidentally stumbled across 1587 sneakers, isn't that good for you? Never a brand I've heard of it to this point.
Correct. Yeah, I never heard of them. So anyway, it's just an update. I
Because
didn't know they
am
were
I not
actually
supposed to support their brand at all?
I didn't know that they were even trying to get them an emergency injunction to stop, shut down the restaurant. Luckily, that did not happen.
What they should have done, honestly, what they should have done instead, and not that they're going to make it, they should have started advertising themselves as, you like this place, why not get a hat? Like, Gold, I could get a hat. It's not a Chiefs color, but I could get a hat that says 1587. Maybe I like it.
But it's an
maybe I like the cap.
I know, but it's again. We are not copyright trademark attorneys by any means. I know, shocking.
That's weird.
1580. Can you trademark just numbers?
I know. I mean,
numbers.
If it's a part of a brand, you can, but not for everything that's ever going to be sold or open in any capacity.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like if you, Cody, if you just felt like trademarking 878, nobody could ever have 878 in their
slides are
business name.
$95.
Anyway, I don't know.
Is that a normal price for designer slides, Drew? $95?
I don't shop designer, so I wouldn't know, but maybe. I mean, that might be.
I got some sneakers.
So we'll see. My guess is this lawsuit never goes anywhere ultimately, and the restaurant doesn't ever get shut down, and this company will get some free marketing out of it. Here we are. Real quick update on the earlier trade with the Buffalo Bills. If you were just joining us, the Bills acquired Bears veteran wide receiver DJ Moore, and he is still on a 4-year, $98 million contract that has $24 million on the books this year, $24 million next year, $24 million in 2028, and also $24.5 million in 2029. The original reporting was a mid-round pick. More than that, the Bears are getting the Bills' second-round pick this year. So it's a second-round pick for DJ Moore. But Buffalo gets a fifth. Buffalo gets DJ Moore and a fifth. They give up a second, so I don't know. We call it a third-round pick technically.
It is technically a pick swap. Based on the projected chart, it's probably just like a later second-round pick. Like fifth-rounders don't normally bump you down a full grade. Anybody else feel like that's steep? And by the way, if people have been complaining about the Eagles asking for a first-round pick, doesn't seem so absurd now if DJ Moore's worth a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like if DJ Moore is good for a second-round pick, even a late second-round pick, I got to think that A.J. Brown for a first doesn't seem all that ludicrous on its premise. It just feels steep. If you'd asked me if I'd done this deal for the Chiefs, my answer is no. Would I have given up? Now, of course, the Chiefs are picking 40, not
so they would have probably wouldn't have been a second-round pick.
Sure, but well, let's just say it was a third. Would you have given up a third-round pick for DJ Moore, owing him $75 million?
Not with the money that's on the books. That's the problem. Not with that kind of money. And DJ Moore's had a very nice career. I don't consider DJ Moore a top. Where would I put him, man? Is he a top?
He's definitely not top 10.
Don't make the mistake I made one year.
I'm thinking
he's definitely
not top 10. I was trying to decide, is he top 20? And I think if he is, he's like 20.
It's probably a conversation, on the
right?
fringe.
If he's top 20, he's like 20.
If you ranked out all the number one wide receivers in the NFL, he is technically a one in the sense that 32 wide receivers are number one wide receivers or would be number one wide receivers. But he's at the bottom end of that list. I mean, he just is. You wouldn't take him ahead of, and I'm not going to list them all off, but we could get to 10 without even breaking a sweat. Okay. So we wouldn't have to think that hard about it. We can get to 10. That's not going to be a problem. But, that second tier group is when you really do get into the Do you think Egbuka's already better than him? Do you think Drake London's better than him? Do you think
I would rather have Drake London
Cortland
than DJ Moore?
Sutton, Lad McConkey, Michael Pittman. This is the category of wide receiver he would keep. And reasonable people could disagree that he's the 17th best or the 29th best is the truth. My thing, he's coming off of 2 bad years, and Chicago's offense is humming. And they were willing to let him go with their young quarterback. And I understand they got young wide receivers.
They let him
young
go.
Tight end.
They let him go because they don't want to pay him $24 million a year for the next 4 years or 3 years. And they have Luther Burden to go with Rome Odunze. The Bills do it because, as we said, they don't have a number 1 receiver. They have a very nice number 2-ish receiver in Khalil Shakir, who they gave a contract to a year ago. And they have a head coach in Joe Brady, who was the OC for DJ Moore in Carolina. That's the connection. But Brandon Beane, he's making a big trade there.
Brandon Beane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get fired in the next 2 years. Or maybe just Chris Ballard.
Brandon Beane.
In the history of the NFL, I have never felt more sure that GMs are at their most untouchable state. This is we're on a 5-year heater of GMs getting to choose new quarterbacks, fire coaches, get rid of everybody, lose. I mean, no one can lose their job. Dick Tobin can take 17 bad players in a row, keeps his job. Ballard can be on his 9th quarterback, keeps his job. Brandon Beane can fire the coach after coming up way short, keeps his job. It's hard to get fired as a GM right now. The job security in the GM market right now is pretty
Joe Shane
safe.
kept his job in New York, right?
Who was the guy? Who would you say? Tubin?
Is that his name?
Who was the guy?
Tobin?
Duke Tobin, not
Duke.
You
I
called
think
him Dick Tubin.
2 great dicks.
Yeah.
That's not his name?
No, I don't
His
think
name
it
is-
is.
his name is
Freudian
Duke-
slip, I guess.
Duke Tobin.
What a ridiculous name. There was no way that guy was going to be. No one's ever been successful with a name that's stupid. That I feel pretty confident in.
2 great dicks.
What was that on the other day?
That was Bob Costas.
They were doing the throwback.
You're talking about
throwback NBA broadcast.
He was talking about
Dick Enberg and
Dick Ebersol, right? Yeah.
That's awesome, by the way. He regretted it the second he said it, too. Didn't he?
So there you go. All right, let's talk more about Trent McDuffie. We all know the news that broke during the show yesterday.
McDuffie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what I would call him. Is that Trip?
Yeah, I said Trent.
You know?
No, I just want to make sure that we're pronouncing. That we're
Can't really turn Trent into something.
That to be like Trip or.
But nothing bad is what I'm saying. It's not like Tennessee Cities.
I was also saying it like a name. I just got his name wrong.
Yeah, all you got to do is switch a letter or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Nobody cares about Duke. Duke. That's not a real name.
Would you rather it be the other name?
Yeah, probably.
Anyway,
I don't think Drew likes him anymore. I think he's ready for a new GM.
Yeah, well, it's Cincinnati.
I don't care who it is
It's
at this rate.
Cincinnati. I was thinking about Trent McDuffie and the career that now is going to end in Kansas City and go over to L.A., and who knows what his future will be. I know it'll include a ton of money as the highest paid corner in the National Football League. And because of his style of play, admittedly, I think there's, you talk about the moments for a guy that won 2 Super Bowl rings, trying to go back, and we were having Drew pull highlights because of the style of corner he is. He was never a guy that's getting pick sixes and 7 interceptions a year or anything, but he was just a very, very solid shutdown corner. Sometimes you wouldn't even throw in his direction. And so what's the play or two that stands out for you guys on the text line? We were going through this earlier because it's not a flashy play, but in the Super Bowl against the 49ers, Brock Purdy has a pretty wide open Debo, and Trent McDuffie closes the gap, bats the pass down. It's a play you probably forget about, but it saves a touchdown in a game in which we all know ended up going to overtime.
Yeah.
So he had that's how I would if you picture his career. Yes, the rings, but it's him
quietly making a massive impact
on the hip of the receiver constantly. And those big time plays. He was not having the diving interception. That's not his style of play.
His biggest plays are him, like you said, standing next to a wide receiver, slowly batting a ball away, or sailing over the top of the head of a wide receiver. It's not because the plays we remember his first interception, but we remember because he spent years not even getting a career interception. Eventually did it with help of the Jumbotron. And look, I remember him stripping the ball away from Tyreek Hill, and I remember him being in a game-winning play or a game-saving play in a Super Bowl and blitzing the quarterback and being really good at that. But largely, and I guess this is the part that's going to be really tough. We talk about him being a great corner. He's one of the most complete players in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what really made him great. He's a great cover guy. He's a great tackler. He's a great blitzer. He's, like a very complete football player.
Yeah. The play in Germany, that 7:30 wake up or whatever it was in Frankfurt, when Tyreek Hill was talking so much smack, and eventually it leads to the Mike Edwards, Brian Cook lateral and all that. But that's a play, I think, that stands out to a lot of people. This was Mitch Holthus on the call, too.
Chiefs lead 14-0. They'll throw it in the near side. Tyreek Hill hit right in the stomach, fumbles the ball, picked up by Kansas City. Tyreek Hill with the catch and a fumble recovery up the sideline. Here comes it's Brian Cook. 10-5, touchdown, Kansas City.
That was the play at McDuffie, and then it became a Mike Edwards recovery, that lateral to Brian Cook.
I get you mentioned this earlier too, and maybe we can have a longer conversation now about it. But in the history of Chiefs football, how are we going to parse Trent McDuffie's place in it? Because somebody earlier was like, "What? They're just going to put 1 million players in this year in the Chiefs Ring of Honor?" And we're like, I mean, well, you kind of
one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history.
Yeah, they kept putting a bunch of other dudes from like bad football teams or mediocre football teams in forever. This is the absolute shining golden moment of your franchise's history. I expect a lot of players to be a part of that. Trent McDuffie was easily a top 5 most important during the dynasty player.
Absolutely.
Partially because they got 2 more rings and went to 3 during his time here, but just because of how good of a player he was. But his time is going to be so limited in Kansas City as a player. Like, his time in Kansas City is going to be so short. You're still going to be more fond of or remember other defensive backs, other great defensive players better because they just played here longer. Trent McDuffie would be a hard player to remember in that way because in the end, he'll only have been a Chief for a couple of years.
Yeah, so the only part I'll disagree with is because it is the best stretch of Chiefs football history. Any Chiefs fan...
I won't forget Dan Sorensen.
Let's put some respect on Trent McDuffie's
No, I just meant
name a little bit here. Trent McDuffie was an all-pro, one of the best corners in football. Trent McDuffie's a name I think Chiefs fans will remember forever. He was the starting corner, an all-pro corner in which they won 2 Super Bowls. So I understand it's not a 10-year career in Kansas City.
No, just 4.
And I would also say unless you're a quarterback and maybe a defensive end pass rusher, not many guys spend 10 years anymore. It's just not like it just in the NFL. It just doesn't usually happen. And so I think, in Chiefs overall history, he's not the first, second, third, or fourth best corner in team history. You go and you look at the Emmett Thomases and the Dale Carter and we can keep Albert Lewis. We can keep going. Those guys in overall Chiefs history are better corners.
They're going to get to stack up.
Trent McDuffie is absolutely a name people are going to remember, and he's absolutely, to me, going to be a Ring of Honor guy.
I guess why wouldn't he be? Genuinely. What's the argument? I'll listen to it, I guess, if you want, but what's the argument?
I am surprised. There's a lot of people. I know that we're not in that camp, but there are a lot of people between this conversation, what we talked about yesterday, and even earlier today, who are just not. They don't think that Trent McDuffie was as good as what he was, and I think
surprised. Sometimes that happens though when someone leaves,
Yeah, but I'm really surprised at the amount of people that
he's a hell of a football
that don't
player.
realize how good he was. His name wasn't mentioned as much but in a way, almost it's like the offensive line conversation. If you're not talking about the offensive lineman, it means they're doing a really good job. Trent McDuffie was so good, he wouldn't even get thrown the ball where his name wouldn't be mentioned because he took a guy away. He took
dominant
corner, the field away.
Dominant corner, but I think this is the usually we say it with offense because of fantasy football and like the flashy the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was an interception guy, that's the perception people have. But he was a dominant corner in this league. He's going to be awesome for the Rams. He's going to be great for them. We talked yesterday about why each team made the trade, and I think there's reasons for both sides. But I disagree. Like someone says, a Ring of Honor guy for playing 4 years. Yeah, this is the greatest stretch of Chiefs football history. The Patriots, I'd have to go back and look. Their 2 dynasties that they had, if you split them, they didn't just put Tom Brady and Gronk in, and Richard Seymour. That's it. There's going to be 6 guys for this run. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. I think Tyrann Mathieu one day gets in. And this is no shade towards guys that have been in Chiefs history. Cody was joking about it earlier. But seriously, this guy had a great NFL career. But you can have a shorter career if it meant you were here for the greatest stretch. Kimball Anders is a pro football is a Chiefs Ring of Honor member. There's no way for me to say this without seeing like I'm downplaying his
like
accomplishments.
You're just trashing Kimball Anders.
I'm sorry, Trent McDuffie and Tyrann Mathieu can be Ring of Honor guys.
Well, and had more of an impact on the franchise than... And Kimball Anders played his entire 10-year career here, right?
Maybe it's the longevity thing, but even still, like you guys were saying,
he had 5,000 total yards. He was a less impactful player than Trent McDuffie was in 4 years.
Yeah, if you were to list off over the time that Trent McDuffie's been a pro, who are the best 5 players on the Chiefs during that time? He is absolutely in that conversation. He is in the top 5
of the greatest stretch of the greatest stretch in franchise history. That's going to get you in the Ring of Honor.
Yes.
Now it doesn't mean it's happening in 5 years. Remember, some of these guys, it takes 20 years from now for them to get in. Like they're not. It's not going to all happen. They only put in one person every year.
Yeah,
I mean, and you wait till your playing career is over.
I guess the other part with it, and Drew, this is why I think this happens. One, it's a classic breakup thing. Oh, you're better without her anyway, like that, the normal stuff that happens in a breakup.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think Chiefs fans are having that attitude towards downplaying the level of player he was because he's coming off his worst year in his career. And they got embarrassed in a regular season in which they only won 6 games. So they're like, how much of an impact is he? It's some of it is just time sensitive. Had this trade happened after they had completed a 3-peat Super Bowl trip, they'd be like, damn, you're going to burn that guy out now? Mm-hmm. He's a key player or they traded him after they'd won back-to-back Super Bowls or whatever. The timing of it is what's making Chiefs fans think he's not that important. They're coming off a 6-win season in which he had the worst year of his career. But he probably also had the worst year of his career because the man's out there having to guard for 47 seconds with 0 pass rush.
Yeah, I just don't think the only requirement for Chiefs Ring of Honor should not be, you played here for 8 years. Like,
in fairness, I was just curious. Aaron Addict put out a list 2 years ago in 2024 of the 10 best defensive backs in Chiefs history.
By their count? Let me guess. Number 1 has to be Emmett Thomas.
It is Emmett Thomas.
Yeah.
That's
Albert Lewis is definitely on there.
2.
Dale Carter's got to be on there.
3.
Who's 4? Who am I missing?
You're probably not thinking about it. A different former first-round pick who also got traded to the Rams.
Oh, Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters had a run in Kansas City before he got traded.
And then there's some other old school guys.
Hasty.
Yeah, James Hasty.
Gary Green. I didn't watch him. He was picked in the 70s. Dave Grayson was on their list. Some old guys that we didn't watch as much, right? Kevin Ross. You remember him. He was in the Albert Lewis days. He had a great run here, too. And then it was all tied. Brandon Flowers, Brandon Carr, Trent McDuffie. Yeah. You start talking about like these guys down here at the bottom end of the list and the moments. But like the difference McDuffie will always have is this team didn't go to a Super Bowl for 50 years. He played in 3 of them. Like there is, and look, we don't have to overvalue it from a like who do you pay player, but like when you're talking about like players in your franchise's history, that gets valued above everything. Everything, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, rings matter. Rings matter, and if you were one of the key pieces on it, it's gonna get factored in.
I just find it baffling that people say Jalen Watson was the better corner last year. Snead was better than Trent McDuffie. You have to stop because everybody brings up the Dallas game. I'm not gonna lie. Trent McDuffie, he was getting burned. Jalen Watson was getting cooked too.
Yeah,
it was Jalen Watson as well.
McDuffie had a bad game or two. He wasn't perfect. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, best cornerback in NFL history. Nobody's making that case. Where there's balance between the two here. We can understand that he had a terrible game against Dallas without acting like that's just who he was. We don't need to act like the Dallas game was who Trent McDuffie was his entire Chiefs career. That's foolish.
Yeah, I went and I looked up the numbers too. They had very similar seasons statistically, which is why I think people are like, well, Jalen Watson's better. But again, we look at who they track and who has the responsibility of covering the players like Jamar Chase and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Trent McDuffie is the one who's responsible for taking care of those guys the most, and he does that.
I'll also say that like the NFL values him $13 million more per year.
He's going to be the highest paid corner in NFL.
Like if Jalen Watson was a member of the Chiefs right now under the same contract and he'd get traded, he wouldn't demand a first. He'd get a third, fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Like and Snead got a third or fourth. And look, some of his because of the injury. I'm like the rest of the league values Trent McDuffie more than they value the players you're talking about. I think Jalen Watson had a great year. And I hope he stays a Chief. And Mike Garafolo mentioned that they're probably going to try to keep him.
He's underrated. I mean, Jalen Watson actually is an underrated player for the most part. He's been better than people give him credit for. When he's been healthy, he's been very, very good. And now that McDuffie's gone, They should be interested in bringing him back. I don't think it's a certainty they do, though. I don't think it backs them in a corner where they have to, but they should definitely explore bringing back Jalen Watson even more than that they were before. All right, guys, up next, we will get to a little what's trending, get you caught up on what's going on, and also the latest on Max Crosby, where there's some more momentum on perhaps a trade happening in the AFC West and what that could mean for the Raiders. We'll tell you about that next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Tune in for the Fan Club every Friday at 1, right here on 96.5 The Fan.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve. Plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
There's nothing like the sound of Royals baseball. When the boys in blue take the field, loyal fans tune in, turn it up, and stay connected. And where do Kansas City's most passionate sports fans gather? Right here on 96.5 The Fan. Sports fans are loyal fans. They support the teams they love and the businesses that support their team. If you're ready to grow your business and connect with a dedicated, engaged audience, call 816-522-0444 or email greg.bergen@odyssey.com. That's greg.bergen@odyssey.com.
College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings each and every night. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with the College Basketball Parlay Profit Boost. Here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay you like. The early tip, the rivalry game, the ranked matchup, the late night West Coast shootout. Whatever you like. You can mix spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read of the slate. Then you go apply your profit boost and instantly boost up that potential payout. You can play it safe. You can go spicy. You can go with the team that you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside than ever before with the College Basketball Parlay Profit Boost. Head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. Remember, FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook app. Play your way. It's the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable boost builder tokens, which comply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, class, let's begin.
Psst, love your boots. I just sold a pair like that on eBay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds to list, and they sold almost immediately. I've been selling everything lately. Some chunky boots, a faux fur coat I never wore, and a vintage chair that was more of an expensive clothing rack.
You know, I actually bought these on eBay. Wait, are you Kitty Sell Stuff from Brooklyn?
Okay, quiet, please.
Find what you love. Sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Is your everyday congestion preventing you from enjoying life's big moments? Try Vicks Sinex Saline today and get yourself back in the action. Vicks Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion with a gentle, ultra-fine mist. Sinex Saline's drug-free, no-mess formula instantly moisturizes and soothes dry, irritated nasal passages for quick and effective relief. Get back to enjoying life's biggest moments to the fullest without having to worry about everyday congestion holding you back. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Look out for Max Minute on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This is Kansas City's FM sports station, 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
Cheddar, mozzarella, Havarti.
Number one on what's trending, an NFL trade going out today. The Buffalo Bills have acquired veteran wide receiver DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. We now know more of the compensation. It is a second-round pick from Buffalo going back to Chicago. The Bears are sending Moore and a fifth-rounder to the Bills. The other part is the amount of money that Buffalo is going to take on. There are still 3 years under contract of $24.5 million a year on that deal. So a big-time move for the Buffalo Bills, who had the worst wide receiver numbers in the NFL last year.
I believe that it's an overpay. They also ran it more than any team in the NFL last year, or one of the most in the NFL last year. So that might also be a part of the deflated receiver numbers. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals spring training continues. They're 5-5. A huge chunk of their roster is getting ready to head off and play games in the World Baseball Classic. It'll be Cole Reagans on the mound. I think this is his second spring start as he continues to work his way up. Remember, Cole Reagans turned down an opportunity to pitch for the U.S. in the World Baseball Classic and will instead go that direction. But if you look at the lineup today, you're like, who? For at least some of the guys, just based on the way it's been going. But we'll see where the Royals end up.
Other NFL news, we'll talk more about this after what's trending, but Jordan Schultz reporting that teams in the trade market have gotten the sense that the Raiders are more open to the idea of trading Max Crosby, and it's a situation that is only going to intensify. This goes with the Albert Breer report from earlier in the week. Max Crosby is going to get traded, guys. The AFC West will not have Max Crosby in anymore. The question is, what kind of picks do the Raiders get back? But, you know, Drew was making the comment yesterday that some teams might be happy Trent McDuffie's not on the Chiefs. I tell you this, the Chiefs and the Broncos will be very happy if Max Crosby's not in the division.
I cannot wait to tell you one of the reasons why Max Crosby wants out of Las Vegas.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Hilarious. It's hilarious. Next up on What's Trending, FIFA will allow TV networks to cut in commercial breaks during the hydration breaks that exist during the FIFA World Cup. It'll split up at every half during the 2026 World Cup to the Athletic. This is a big deal because in the worldwide global soccer community, they are not tolerant of commercials during soccer because it's 45 straight minutes of action. But during the water breaks, they're going to allow for some commercials to sneak in. View this a little bit like Red Zone. They're trying to sneak in a little bit of value. Imagine they'll charge an absolute fortune for any of those short ads not during the half.
Yeah, I get it. Doesn't really bug me that much.
I'm used to commercials.
Hydration break. Nothing's going on in that moment. It's okay. We're not missing anything. We're not missing anything. You want to see Messi pouring water on his head? Oh boy, it'll be okay if we don't see that for 5 seconds, 20 seconds. It'll be all right. I promise.
I'm just saying, from like the soccer community, they're gonna hate it because they're very used to it.
Yeah, that's
Speck
fair.
said he just went across. He was playing. He went to a bunch of European soccer matches.
Yeah.
He said you can't even take your beer to the seat.
Isn't that crazy?
That distracts from everybody watching the game.
You have to
drink
it
in the concourse.
Yeah, you have to drink it in the concourse. Huh.
I don't like their soccer interrupted.
Elsewhere on What's Trending, Browns defensive lineman, the defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, was again cited for speeding. Second time since he flipped his Porsche. Remember that?
Yeah,
he's got 9 speeding tickets since 2017.
Take his license away. He can afford a limo everywhere he goes. Damn, dude, 9 speeding tickets. I guess that's one a year. That's not as bad as I thought. But still, tighten it up.
Yeah, the latest one, I think, 65 and a 45.
Tighten it up, Miles.
Anyway.
That's pretty fast. I don't ever speed that much. Lastly, on What's Trending, Six Flags is selling Worlds of Fun. No more Six. Now, you might remember they were an individually owned theme park for a long time. They were then purchased by Six Flags. They've sold it to a local Kansas City company called EPR Properties. It's amongst many different parks. They're selling all together to the property management. 6 other parks, including Michigan, Galveston, New York, St. Louis, Six Flags, and one in Minneapolis. So EPR Properties.
They acquired,
picking up Worlds of Fun.
Yeah, acquired 7 parks from Six Flags. $342 million is what they paid for 7.
I actually felt, like I keep seeing these evaluations of, maybe it's because I'm used to sports team evaluations, felt cheap to me. I know it's $350 million or whatever, but for 7 theme parks, doesn't it seem kind of cheap to anybody else? You think that means they're
Well, NFL teams are way more profitable.
can I
They're just
make-
like guaranteed profit
Yeah.
NFL teams.
Theme park might not be.
You're gonna make money every year.
Can I make one business suggestion to EPR properties?
Oh, let's hear it.
Make the Mamba red again. I don't like the green.
Oh, okay.
Make the Mamba red again. You know, I thought it looked. That's the Mamba of my childhood. They try to make it look like a real snake by making it green. Doesn't stand out on the skyline as much. I think it should go back to being red.
I'm sure that's.
This is a really stupid hill to die on, but
how much
I stand
money
by
does
it.
it cost to repaint
They
it?
painted it they have to paint it every so many years anyway, probably anyway.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of rattle cans of spray paint. Hit that thing red. Let's
they're
get back
just-
to the Mamba of my youth.
You think they're just using spray paint?
No, I assume they have to use like special paint. I don't know.
When's the last time you went on the Mamba?
Oh,
Drew, have you ever been to Worlds of Fun yet?
20 years ago, man. I don't know. It's been a long time.
I have not.
I haven't been since, I'm not even kidding, probably since high school.
I went last year for a kid who was in my daughter's dance class was doing he did the performance stuff around Halloween. So we went, and both of my kids kept saying they were going to get on a roller coaster with me, but then we'd get in the line and they'd end up ditching me. And I had to ride it by myself. So I went on a couple of roller coasters, but the Mamba was not one of them.
Someone's saying that they're only selling the land, not the actual theme park. I don't know. Just telling you the story.
The hell that doesn't even make. What?
Because I think they're leasing it back to it. Like it's one of those, it's kind of like
Private equity, lease back, Red Lobster.
I think it's kind of similar to what Chicken and Pickle did, which is Chicken and Pickle sold, and then because they own the property, they sold it to a company, and then they're leasing it the property back or something.
To Six Flags, so it'll still be a Six Flags
I think it's
property?
a similar concept. I don't know.
Interesting.
This
Cash
the
infusion,
press release just said EPR made its largest
don't know.
acquisition, purchasing 7 regional parks for $342 million. That's all it says.
I'm not a big. I haven't been to a theme park in a long while. I'll have to go.
I would have guessed that you were theme park obsessed guy. That, I would have guessed that was you. Like you're the person.
Yeah, the way
that
you like Dave and Buster's, I would have just.
I liked water park. If there's a water park, I like water parks.
Well, there's Oceans of Fun
more than theme parks.
Oceans of Fun is a thing.
They're both together in the same.
We used to have Schlitterbahn, but that did not go well. Yeah.
Don't look that up, Drew. It's not a happy
it's a
story.
terrible situation.
So really awful.
Terrible,
I can imagine what
terrible situation
potentially happened. Yeah,
the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's why it doesn't exist in Kansas City anymore.
Wait, is that where the because and you don't have kids, so this doesn't really. But aren't they building 2 new theme parks out your way too? Aren't they building? There's a Barbie one,
Mattel,
and a Hot Wheels one
in Bonner, a Mattel Barbie type, not just Barbie, but Mattel theme park. I think it's supposed to be ready in 2029 or 2030.
Oh, okay.
You're getting ready to get a Mattel one and a Hot Wheels one, I think. A little bit of both out there in the KCK area to go with the new Chiefs Stadium eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Just making a point. Let's talk a little bit about Max Crosby. He is unhappy, so we're going to talk about the fact that he could be traded, and it seems like all the momentum is he will be traded. So, okay, Max Crosby is going to be traded. We can talk about that in a minute. Can I tell you for a second the reporting on why he is unhappy and why this is just yet another sign that I told you a month ago that letting Tom Brady run your entire organization is going to keep the Raiders in the dumpster, just like you want, Alex, for years to come, and why Fernando Mendoza should dread the fact that he might end up a Raider and it's not inevitably good for him. I'm not kidding. There's an article out right now talking about one of the reasons Max Crosby wants out in LA is because Alex Guerrero, the snake oil salesman, TB12, microwave dinner selling Alex Guerrero, who used to live at his place, actively has a very serious role, or is at least telling people in the building he has a serious role inside there. Quote, like many players and coaches, Crosby was frustrated by the presence of Alex Guerrero, a staunch Brady ally whose official title is wellness coordinator, regularly attends practices, meetings, purports to possess significant organizational power, informing players of impending transactions, and even indicating to staff members who do not follow his instructions that their job may be at risk. This is all a byproduct of Brady's insistence, obviously, to wear 2 hats, according to this. But, he's enforcing Alex Guerrero-style politics in the middle of the Raiders bill. It's an awful idea. Don't you remember? Kraft hated him.
Yeah, this was
Belichick him. This has been a problem at, every stop he's had since the end of his career.
Yeah, back, I don't know, it's probably been 10 years now, but the Patriots revoked the credentials for Alex Guerrero in the team facility. Belichick couldn't stand him, and they didn't allow him on the field anymore because it caused tension. But Tom Brady clearly really, really trusts Alex Guerrero. This is the guy that was part of, or still is, I guess, the whole TB12 diet stuff and all that. That was a thing. I guess it probably still is. And the players are trying to figure out, why are we trusting this guy? But Tom Brady's doing this as well because it means he doesn't have to physically be there. It's like he basically just has like a direct, it's his guy on the ground, right?
Yeah, but it's like
it's
the wrong guy. It's the wrong guy.
The Raiders should trade Max Crosby, though, in all honesty. They're not anywhere close to competing. I mean, they really should try to get a massive haul. Remember, Micah Parsons brought back 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark. Now, Max Crosby's older. Maybe you could argue he's not as good of a player. He's pretty damn close, though. And
he's not as good of a player statistically.
Is he going to get 2 first-rounders and a quality player? Is Crosby a 2 first-round guy and no player? Is he 1 first-rounder and a player? And who's going to trade for him? We mentioned the Rams still have another first-round pick, by the way, if the Rams just wanted to really go in. But are they going to pay Max Crosby and give Trent McDuffie the largest contract in cornerback history? I don't know if the Rams are a contender anymore for Crosby. The Eagles certainly make a lot of sense. And then the Patriots.
There are a number of teams that fit. And I do think that you're probably going to get, I mean, look, if DJ Moore's worth a second, I would think Max Crosby to somebody is probably a first-round pick. I'm not sure exactly who that's going to end up. Those 3 teams are logical fits, but there are defensive end. There are probably 5 or to 8 others, I would say, that logic, because the Chiefs are technically a fit, right? They could use a defensive end and have additional draft capital now. Now, I don't think the Raiders would ever make that in decision or in division trade, but yeah, like for the Raiders' sake, where are you? Like, I mean, genuinely, how close are you? Now, they're going to tell themselves, and all these teams do, they lie to themselves, and they watch how quickly a team like Denver turned it around.
Yeah, they're at least 2
years
years
with the
away.
right coach and the right quarterback, and the right free agency draft, boy, it could all come together real fast for us. For this year, I would make it about stabilizing my organization. But what I'm telling you is I think Tom Brady is destabilizing it. He is one of the most influential people in your building doing part-time work and subleasing subcontracting half of that work to a snake oil salesman. That does not seem like what a successful organization would do. That seems like something a bad organization with bad ideas.
Well, that's what the Raiders are. The Raiders are a poorly run organization.
Yeah, they seem to be not planning on, continue.
Yeah, they brought in Pete Carroll.
Getting out of that, I guess.
They brought in Pete Carroll for 1 year and he's gone. Now, they should have fired him, but the point is, like, you hired him just a year ago, you decided to hire him. And you've already punted. Now, I do like the Clint Kubiak hire. I actually think it's a very good hire. But Mendoza, we're going to see. Ultimately, if they end up drafting a quarterback that's a top 10 quarterback, then it changes everything for them. But I tend to think Mendoza is just going to be a very nice quarterback in the league, and he's going to be average. And that's not going to really scare you if you're in the AFC West or in the NFL.
No, and it shouldn't, based on the way that works. I guess at this point, we're just hoping Max Crosby ends up in the NFC side.
Yeah,
I want all the good players to go to the NFC.
Go to Chicago.
Somebody did tweet out, somebody reported, said Chicago's not done yet today. They're going to use this newly found second-round pick from DJ Moore and go flip that for Max Crosby.
Saved a lot of money, too.
I mean, they did. They saved the Max Crosby amount of money, essentially. Like, they cleared out the exact amount of cap space they would need to do that. And look, the Bears have every right to think that they could be Seattle of this year. We've got pieces in place. We've got a young head coach we like. These things could snap into place. Now, again, I think some teams become delusional in the how easy it is or how often that happens. Most Super Bowl winning teams are not built the way Seattle did it. So unless there's getting ready to be a league-wide shift and we're getting ready to go through a decade-long run, if you can just pick up dudes off the street, slap them together on a roster with a new head coach and go win a Super Bowl, and I don't think that's going to happen, most of these teams aren't going to be able to do it. I'm not saying that, like, this is not how it works. I'm not delusional. I don't think that Fernando Mendoza should say, don't draft me. I'm not going to come there or whatever. This would be troubling to me. This would be troubling to me that this is how it's going. Max Crosby is, in my opinion, the exact type of guy, like a person like Bink, when he's talking about a drafted guy, he's the exact type of guy they talk about, like, football guy, right? Lives, eats, breathes, will do anything to be on a football field, Drew. Shows up to every meeting, does everything you want. Like, if he's got a problem, and he's been a model soldier for an even bad Raiders team, if you did something to make him want out of Vegas, how bad does it have to be? That's all. It just, it doesn't sound right to me. or at least it smells fishy in some capacity. Let's talk a little bit about Bobby Wood Jr., though. The Royals are in spring training action today, and you and I agreed. I didn't know where you were going to stand on it. I put it in the rundown, obviously, and didn't know whether or not we'd agree or not. But I think specifically with this Royals team under Bobby Wood Jr.'s in the years they've had him on their roster, we should be placing the single highest expectations on this team we have for any team he's been a part of. It's the most expectation this team should have since 2016. It is a disappointing year if they do not make the playoffs. It is a disappointing year in a lot of ways if they don't win the division. I think they need to make noise in the playoffs. The roster is complete. I understand that they are not a perfect Dodgers-esque squad of zero liability, but this is the most complete roster they have had at any point under Bobby Wood Jr., even with some of the questions they have in the corner outfield. Everyone is either paid or one of the highest thought of prospects in both the Royals organization and in baseball, and Carter Jensen and Jack Caglione. If you can't make it work with this unit, well, then you've come up way short of expectation. Real expectation.
Yeah, it's plain and simple this year. There's no excuses. You know, they can look at what moves maybe they weren't able to fully finalize and all that. It doesn't matter. This is a roster in this division that can absolutely compete to win the AL Central. The Twins stink. Okay, the White Sox are still not ready.
Yeah,
the Guardians find a way always to be in the mix, but to me, you're better. The Tigers' rotation is legit. They're your biggest challenger. They're the favorite to win the division. But are they that many games better than you? Bare minimum, you should be competing. I mean, winning the division is definitely something I think everybody should be asking for. But at bare minimum, it is making the postseason. And there's no excuse. I don't want to hear slow starts. I don't want to hear exit velo rates for the first 5.5 weeks of the season. Wait.
Hard hit rate. Look how close.
I don't want to hear any of that crap.
I agree.
This team has the core. You know what you're getting from Vinny. Bobby Wood Jr. has a chance to win an MVP this year. You said it with the outfield. There's questions there.
They're not a perfect roster. No one is.
Yeah. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying it's World Series or bust. That's not that. Nobody's saying that. But it is a roster that is more than capable and should be able to perform. And so for Matt Quatrero as the manager, if they don't make the playoffs, then next year he's on the hot seat immediately heading into the year, and they better get off to a good start because the expectation as the manager as well should be making the postseason. I also look at the decisions the front office made. If Jonathan India does not have a bounce back season, at least get back to what he was in Cincinnati, then they once again made a mistake on the $8 million tender that they gave him. And it was more about, basically proving that the trade was correct a year ago and compounding the problem. I hope that's not what happens, but that would be the situation if he doesn't perform well.
Yeah, sunk cost.
Yep.
And they might have gotten themselves in that situation in the sunk cost idea. But it's like, look at the entire roster, genuinely. 95% of this roster, and look, let's just say win healthy, because I understand that that's a caveat for any season. Win healthy. 90% of this roster is either a proven or paid player, which means they think you're proven because they paid you. Michael, Salvi, Vinny, Bobby, all of them, the whole crew. They improved the outfield, even if it's mildly improved. They definitely improved it with the addition of Lane Thomas, right? They've made adjustments. They have a proven bullpen that has a veteran. They added Strom to it in addition to it. They have a proven rotation. I get it. Injuries can happen, but even injuries to me are not an excuse.
Other teams overcome things all the time. Yeah,
unless 5 of your starting 25 get hurt tomorrow in a single tandem bike accident. I don't even know if they make 5-person tandem bikes, but you get the point.
Okay.
I was just trying to think of the dumbest injury that could possibly happen that would involve 5 people at once. Unless something traumatic happens, I don't know why there's any reason, no excuse. The Guardians lost Shane Bieber for the season and still competed for a wild card spot. This is an excuse for a year. Coming up short of the playoffs is a disappointment. Not winning the division to me is coming up at least a little short. Now, you could still make a run in the playoffs. You could still make noise in the playoffs and undo that part. This is the best team they've had since 16. It is. 16, I thought, should have been a playoff team, should have competed further. Injuries got them, poor play, poor start got them. But you're right. I think April is going to be so telling for this team and the pressure they have on them. Because I think the Royals are reiterating what we're saying. The Royals organization is looking at this group and saying, yeah, we gave you things to win here, so win? We're not asking that much. We've put the things in places. Paid a lot of you a lot of money. Paid you, Lugo. Paige Awaka, Paige Reagans, Michael. We put money in all this. So you guys going to pay us back and make this a playoff team. I really, really, really high. I'm excited for the season. This isn't a knock. Don't make this to think that I don't think they can live up to it. But it is a team that deserves expectations.
That's the standard that people should be holding them to. Someone says, based off the past 100 lost seasons, it will not have Matt Q on my hot seat. Agree, we got to win, but I like Q's demeanor. No, I like Matt Cotrero as well. But also that if that's what we're still doing, we're saying, well, at least it's not a 100 lost season. That's pretty pathetic. That's a pretty pathetic way to look at it. If it's just like, well, at least we didn't lose 100. I know that I know damn well that that's not how the organization is approaching things. But if that's as a fan, and I don't know if I would guess that's a minority opinion from that texter, and that's fine. I just disagree with it. That should not be. Well, we remember how bad it used to be. No, you can still strive. This is 2026. This is not 2006.
So the way I would agree with him, this is how I felt, the way they're describing it in 2003. So, like, in 2003, this is how I felt. I was just happy to be there. Wow. You were, like, not awful. I can live my life now, knowing, because, like, my entire life, the Royals were the laughing stock of baseball.
Yeah, the most exciting thing.
They won a World Series 11 years ago.
Yeah, we're way past the 100 loss stuff. And
they got one of the 5 best players in baseball.
As far as that being, like, I understand they had some terrible seasons post World Series. I'm just saying, if that, using that as like, we'll see, we could always be worse, I think that's a terrible way as a fan to, it's letting the organization off the hook for starters. And yeah, you were going way back to the 2000s. I was just going to say, like, yeah, when the highlight was the hoping for a dozen hits for a dozen donuts, that's bad. We don't need to go back to that.
No, I don't ever want to go back to that.
Yeah. Someone even said, hey, the fences are brought in. Even more reason to have expectations. Now, we'll see what it truly does.
Now, that's for everybody. You know how
we'll
this
see
works.
how that does. Yeah, it impacts your opponents as well.
Although, again, that was another move in the effort of, we talked about it at the time, that was another move in the effort of winning. The Royals genuinely did that because their current roster is better constructed to handle that from a pitching perspective and to give their hitters the advantage. They've been making strides in the way that, like, that was another move that cost them a few $1 million to move and do all this stuff in an effort to win. Their internal analytics said, we will be a more successful team more regularly if we can hit better at our home park based on the way that our lineup is constructed. Great. But again, that's another reason why they should have expectations. They're only a year removed from a playoff run. And last year's team had no chance to make the playoffs. They did have a chance to make the playoffs. September 1st, they were still in the playoff hunt. Not a long shot's too strong. They weren't a favorite to make the playoffs either. But Gold, I don't know how many times I've turned the calendar on that day and a Royals team had no chance. Zero. That, like, it can't be that. I don't want September 1st to be, they're in the hunt. They should be in the playoffs. They should be thought of as a playoff team. They let 7 damn teams in this on the AL side. You have a top 5 player in baseball. You have a top 5 rotation in baseball, maybe top 3 in the American League. You have a bolstered bullpen and a lot of guys you've paid who you think are good baseball players. Earn it. Earn a playoff spot. That's all. I am excited to watch the WBC over the weekend. I think there's 2 more games tonight, but they're at like 1 in the morning or like 3 in the morning. Or
I'll watch when it's on at a normal time. I might get up at 5 a.m. to watch a WBC.
What if it was the championship? What's the earliest you'd wake up for U.S. versus blank WBC championship?
I mean, USA, Japan, Bobby Witt Jr. leading off with Shohei throwing to him. I would, mainly also for our job's sake, I would wake up at 5:30 for that one.
Would you wake up at 3 a.m.?
No.
Okay. I just didn't know what the break
3
point
a.m.
was. Is 5:30 really the break point? Is that what you mentioned?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
4, you're like, well, I'll just catch the last 3 innings.
Yeah.
See where the game's at. Are they doing pitch clock for WBC? Are those going to be quick games?
I know
or are we going
they're
back
not.
to the old school?
Well, I know they're not doing ABS. There's no ABS in the WBC. I don't know about pitch clock.
On the ABS system, because they can get it right, do you think that they should just get rid of umpires behind the plate calling pitches?
No.
You like that it's a challenge system?
Yeah.
But if you can get every call right, why not just get it right?
Because I still think there's a human element to baseball. I don't want to just all be computer programmed. That's boring.
All right.
You know?
Even at the umpire level, you like the human element. I was just thinking that when
I think the ABS is great.
When the umpire missed like 6 straight pitches and they just kept tapping their helmet.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be here all day, Blue. If you're just going to miss every call. I have decided that of the 3 people who can challenge it, the pitcher, the catcher, and the hitter, the pitcher should never challenge it. I think they got a really bad sense of it. I think that the motion or whatever, they are wrong the most, in my opinion. The catcher sees the ball the whole way in. I think they got a good idea. The hitter sees the ball the whole way in. I think they got a good idea. I think pitchers are delusional. I think the pitchers think that their ball crosses the plate a lot more often than it does. And because they're 60 feet, 6 inches away, they've got some idea that they know where the ball is that they don't. I don't want my pitcher challenging it, is the truth. I want the catcher, or the catcher doesn't think it's a strike, you can just keep quiet about it. Or the pitcher should. That's a small thing.
We'll talk some more Royals baseball. Josh Vern, our Royals insider, of course, out in Surprise, Arizona. He's been out there for almost a month at this point in time. He's got his hot stove show tonight as well. We'll ask him about the WBC a little bit. We'll discuss the expectations for this year with him. Coming up next here on Cody and Gold.
This is Wyatt Thompson, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays 10 to 2, right here on your home for K-State Athletics, 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hi, I'm Carter. And I'm Charlie. We'd like to share a quick story about a homeowner named Jack. Jack had a home he needed to sell fast. And Jack thought he had it all figured out. So Jack talked to multiple cash buyers. Jack chose the highest offer. But the day before closing, guess what? The buyer backed out, leaving Jack with the moving truck all packed in the driveway and not sure what to do. Jack learned the hard way that the highest offer isn't always the right offer. Jack got suckered. Make sure you aren't hung out to dry. Call our dad at Rex Buys KC. Our dad is local, he knows Kansas City, and he actually closes deals. No repairs, no fees, no showings, no surprises. Just a fair cash offer and a smooth process. Now, don't be like Jack. Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com. Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
Call Hamilton today for our $79 mainline drain cleaning special. The pros at Hamilton will inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. The expert technicians at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to solve your problem the right way, the first time. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 2025-11121.
Eric Clapton. September 17th. T-Mobile Center. With special guest, Jimmy Vaughn. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at AXS.com. Don't miss the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Eric Clapton.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills.
Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
This is the Game of the Week report, brought to you by Hyundai.
Monday night's pro basketball schedule is set to bring the heat as the postseason nears. First, a marquee showdown takes center stage as Cleveland hosts Philly and are eager to climb the standings. And out west, Denver heads into Oklahoma, and Salt Lake City will take on Golden State as they look to upset one of the league's most experienced teams.
The Game of the Week report is brought to you by the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. Learn how it's so much more than just another SUV at HyundaiUSA.com.
Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right it almost feels wrong. Because right now you can get great deals on our most popular models, including our adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe or Santa Fe Hybrid and the Tucson or Tucson Hybrid. Plus, there's our bold and stylish Elantra. loaded with the latest tech, or go all electric with the Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 9. So get down to your local Hyundai dealer and get away with a deal you'll love during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for details.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 15 minutes or so. Let's keep talking some Royals baseball. Vern was nice enough to work with us yesterday. We usually have him on Wednesdays, but of course, the breaking news yesterday with the Trent McDuffie trade. But we want to make sure we get to our guy, Josh Vern. You're our Royals insider. He's got his hot stove show tonight at 6 o'clock in our spring training coverage on 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by Park and Go, the best deal on airport parking. What do you got planned tonight? You got any players stopping by?
Yeah, we'll hear from the captain, Salvador Perez, and the starting pitcher for Team Puerto Rico, Seth Lugo, as well.
It is kind of weird right now, these WBC camps, Vern, where like it thins out in a hurry, right? Where you're like, you start looking at some of the Royals lineups, you're like, wait, who? I feel like I know the roster pretty good, but it's starting to get down to the depths of like, even I'm a little confused.
And it shows you the talent that's on this 2026 team. 14 members of the organization or camp taking part in the World Baseball Classic, and for good reason. You know, I was surprised when Michael Wacha ended up making the team, but from Lugo to Michael, Salvi, Jack, Vinny, Bobby, it makes sense that each one of those respective teams made the call. And, you know, the baseball fan in me is excited to watch all of them perform, but the Royals fan and the guy that's going to talk to Royals fans 162 times this season will be a little nervous when I'm watching Lugo and Wacha and Estevez on the bump, or, you know, Bobby, you know, just the other day,
Sure.
Bob goes first to third, and the third base coach puts up the stop sign, and Bob had to hit the brakes really quick, and I'm, you know, just praying for that hamstring, praying for that quad. So it is a little bit like watching a scary movie at times.
When you look at, I guess this is like the number of players you mentioned are good and why we're talking about it. It's the same thing Alex and I were just talking about. I think this should be the most expectation any Royals team has had in the Bobby Wood Jr. era, and probably since 2016. Like, they've paid everybody. They've got great players. Like, this team should have real expectation.
Yeah, and when the hot stove show started back, whenever the Chiefs ultimately let us down and they gave us the thumbs up to start the hot stove show, yeah, that was my focus of that 60-minute program, about the expectations for this team and how we as media, we as a fan base need to hold this team from game 1 to game 162 to a different standard. You say it's expectations we haven't seen since 2016, and I'm not going to fight you on that, but I could make a case that most of us have never seen expectations like this, because in 2016, we're still celebrating the title, so the pressure from the fan base wasn't at a level I believe it should be this year, to where you didn't have the best player on the planet back then. You didn't have one of the 10 best pitchers on the planet back then. You didn't have a future Hall of Famer in Salvador Perez like you do now. You had Salvi, but he wasn't
not that Salvi.
This Salvi. Yeah, this is a team that should win the division. We've talked in the past about whether the Tigers now have the best rotation, or if it is Kansas City. I think there's a debate there. I don't know who the team is that you point to and say, for as much as we complain about the offense, understandably, with what happened last season, when I look at the 1 through 9 or the 1 through 13 that is set to open this thing up, I think the Royals have the best offense on paper in the division as well. And I don't think you can focus enough on Bobby Witt Jr., year 5 in the big leagues. You look at George Brett, year 5 in the big leagues. That 5th year is when he won, had a winning record for a 3rd straight season. Bobby Witt Jr. has a chance to do that. To me, the Royals have a chance. Bobby has a chance to set the standard this year of what his prime years are going to look like. and how the World Series or making the postseason, winning the division needs to be the expectation up until Bobby Witt Jr. makes that decision in 2030 of whether he's going to pick up that player option or if he's going to hit free agency. This is the year where you show me that we're not just playing for a wild card. No, we believe that with Bobby, Vinny, Michael, Cags, Carter, and this core that we have offensively, this is the team to beat for the next half decade in the AL Central.
We're talking to our Royals insider, Josh Vern. We haven't spoke to you since Starling Marte was signed, and I don't know how you view it. It feels like a very nice insurance policy, nice bat off the bench. You got better than having maybe somebody like a Drew Waters or Nick Lofton coming off the bench. And if there's injuries or Cags doesn't figure it out, you got another bat.
Yeah, you nailed it. Throw Isaac Collins in there as well, who just doesn't seem to have his timing yet in camp. Did make a tremendous leaping catch at the wall in left field. But yeah, insurance, a veteran voice in the clubhouse. Not that that's what I'm leaning on him to do. No, he's needs to be a productive player when he's ultimately called upon. I do think, you mentioned Nick Lofton, I do think that's the roster spot he ultimately takes, is that final bench spot. I still think you have that speed demon on the bench in Tyler Tolbert, and I think the Marte signing also reflects a team that, yes, you're right with insurance, but it also reflects a team that, for the most part, is going to run out the same right fielder, is going to run out the same first baseman. Second base could turn into a platoon. We'll see what India and Massey do over the next month. But third base, shortstop, catcher, DH, right field, first base, and it just seems like much of the lineup, much of the roster is set, has been set, and will be set until we get to the trade deadline when it becomes, an arms race between Detroit and Kansas City. Likely, you could throw Cleveland in there. And really what this comes down to when you look at this division, for as much as we wanted this team to go out and sign that big bat this offseason, and we've discussed how, they're saying the same thing in Detroit and in Cleveland, all three of these teams are relying heavily on young stars from Cags and Carter in Kansas City. You're hearing about Kevin McGonigal and Max Clark in Detroit. DeLauder and the number one pick, Travis Benzana, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, those two kids in Cleveland. So for the first 3 months, it's going to come down to the stars of these lineups, the young bats, and then as we approach the deadline, if those young bats are flaming out, that's when the team gets into that arms race and hopefully makes a move for the division title.
I'll ask about a couple of other guys. You'd mentioned maybe early in camp didn't look good, but maybe you're getting a little bit better. But Ryan Bergert seems like he is making it awfully hard for the Royals to not find some place for him on the opening 26-man roster. I know he started games for the Royals last year, and we talked about Noah Cameron. How good has Bergert looked, and I guess what's his role look like?
I still think he's the sixth starter, so he starts in Omaha, and he's the first one called upon when and if an injury pops up, an injury which we've already seen transpire over the past few weeks in Stephen Kolek. Yeah, you're right. Ryan Bergert looks really good, but Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, and Chris Bubich, we know those are the top four. And Noah Cameron's looked perfectly fine. It's nice to have depth, but when you look at the bullpen, coming into camp, I think there were 2 spots open. I can make a case that's down to 1. Steven Cruz looked really good. And, a guy like Luinder Avila, I think you want to keep him stretched out as well. He could be a big factor for this bullpen in the second half of the season. But that big right-handed arm, that could be Steven Cruz coming out of the gate. So Bergert's done everything the team's asked him to do, but it's the big leagues for a reason, and it's a numbers game, so I think he finds himself starting opening day for the AAA ball club.
Second base is clearly a position that, could swing this team in a much better direction if they get some more production there. What have you seen from India and Massey to this point?
India, nothing that's really caught my eye. He's drawn a few walks, turned a nice double play that I remember. But looks much the same, just with shorter hair. Michael Massey looks really good offensively, looks really good defensively in left field, always looks good defensively in second base, but always looks good in Arizona. He was great last year in Cactus League. Honestly, his worst spring training came in 2024, which turned out to be his best big league season. So it's nice to see him squaring it up. He needed, in my opinion, to have a good camp and needs to continue to have a good camp to put that pressure on Jonathan India, to put that pressure on Isaac Collins, because if either one of those two dudes struggle, Michael Massey's going to be there to scoop up those at-bats. The pressure for Jonathan India, I think, really starts to mount on opening day, because he'll certainly be in there against Chris Sale. But if things start to snowball for him, I wouldn't be surprised to see Michael Massey not only turn it into a platoon, but really turn Jonathan India into somewhat of a bench player. So it's been nice to see from Michael Massey, but man, I've just seen it so much that now I need to see it. And again, this is a reflection of a team that has different expectations where, I could say the same thing about Carlos Estevez and a lot of these relievers that look subpar or average at best in camp. You know what? When it comes to what I expect from this team, all I want from my relievers, all I want from my hitters and position players in camp is to stay healthy and to get in the right space mentally. Carlos Estevez touches 90 miles per hour twice of his 13 pitches the other night while pitching for Dominican Republic. But the body language, the attitude, the confidence still seems to be there. So if he doesn't appear shook, if these hitters don't appear shook, that's what we want, because we all know once that umpire says play ball on opening day, guys get shook quick.
You'd mentioned early in spring training you didn't think Lucas Erceg looked like 2 years ago Erceg, but more like last year Erceg, which was good, and he did a fine job, but not dominant level. He had his first outing of spring a couple days ago. Looked like he was hitting 97, 98. What do you see at Erceg, I guess, so far?
Yeah, again, like you said, the first appearance on Surprise Stadium's mound, he did perform in a B game about a week and a half ago. The velocity's good. The command is there. But the thing that made Lucas Erceg such a revelation in 2024 was the swing and miss, was the strikeout rate, which went bye-bye last year. Doesn't seem to be present this spring. Again, it's still early. We have another month to go. He doesn't seem to be in a negative headspace or questioning his abilities, so he seems to be in the right spot. But the more and more you talk to people, the more they tell you that what happened in 2024 may be unattainable. That might be the just a guy on a heater. So maybe you can get that out of Lucas Erceg for a stretch, but to think that he's it's strange to say, especially with how young he is, but to think that he's a double-digit strikeout per 9 guy might not be the case.
When you look at, I guess, Luinder Avila, I think we're going to talk maybe more about him tomorrow. Is he a player we should discuss more about what he might end up doing for Kansas City this year?
Yeah, to me, he's the guy where if Estevez falters, and this is so far down the line, I'm talking August, because again, I think Luinder Avila, the hard-throwing 23-year-old,
he'll start
right-hander,
as a starter, right?
Yeah, I want to keep him stretched out just in case the aging veterans all of a sudden Father Time starts to catch up with them. Burkert, Avila, I think would be the first two that you call upon. But yeah, if those guys can stay healthy and Avila deals, he'll make his way to the big leagues in some form come the middle of the season, whether that's as a starter or as a reliever. And if it is as a reliever, if he can find some confidence, if he can have one of those Erceg-like streaks, he certainly has the ability and the stuff to be that ninth inning guy. Hopefully it's Erceg. Well, hopefully it's Carlos Estevez.
Sure.
But if that goes sideways, I think Luinder Avila is the most intrigued. Well, him and the Colleran kid, that Dennis Colleran kid, that's some high velocity that he's bringing from the right side as well. So those two names have been very fun to watch and eye-popping when you're looking at the Jumbotron.
Josh Vern, you're our Royals insider tonight. Hot Stove Show coming up. Salvador Perez will join him at 6 o'clock right here on 96.5 The Fan. Appreciate it, man.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Our conversations with Vern and our spring training coverage here on 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by Park and Go, the best deal on airport parking.
It was interesting because, you think about, the pressure. The only pressure of playing time this year for the position players comes from the Major League roster. I mean, the baseball just put out the Royals top 30 prospect list.
Yeah.
Every single position player is in, A ball. They don't have some like in the top 30. They're all playing A-ball, Drew. All together. They're like 19, 20, 22 years old. And they're all playing in quad cities, maybe a few in AA like Blake Mitchell.
Yeah, their top 5 prospects are Carter, it's Carter Jensen, Blake Mitchell, David Shields, Gamble, who they just drafted last year or whatever. So,
Hammond, who they just drafted. Like, they're all young players in lower spots of the organization. They're not being threatened by guys in AAA who could come take their job. It's really they can only take each other's job.
It's the second baseman. That is going to be the one to watch, the first month of the season, as Vern was mentioning. Jonathan India, Michael Massey, Isaac Collins. What happens with those 3 players? And really what happens between Collins and Jonathan India will dictate, I think, what happens with Michael Massey and how that can change everything. I mean, ideally, Jonathan India returns to what he was in Cincinnati. It's spring training, as Vern was laying out. It's so hard to tell what's real, what's not, because a guy will have a bad spring and a great season, or vice versa.
Yeah, Massey's
but Jonathan India. Fans are going to be understandably so very impatient. So with him in particular. So if it's the first 3 weeks of the season and India is slow out of the gate, fans are not, and I get it, will not be, it's early with him, because we all saw, and we had him on the show, 2 weeks ago, and he talked about the injuries. I hope it was just health. I really do. That'd be great for this team. I'm a little skeptical that he's going to bounce back.
I would say he's going, I agree with you. On the entire roster, he's the player that the team is going to be the least patient with. And rightfully so, in fairness. I mean, again, they gave up a major asset and took on serious money and picked up another $8 million this year. He needs to perform, which we'll see whether or not he does it.
Random question.
Random question today brought to you by Kansas City Urology Care at KCUC. Remember, you see the best in KC. Visit kcurology.com today. For you, Gold, you, Drew. Text line 913-586-7965. And, of course, over on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, where we live stream the show. Like and subscribe over on YouTube or Twitch. Pop to the top of your feed, and then you'll know when we go live or release other content on those platforms. Today, I have a question about gym, specifically basketball etiquette. Now, I could have done it about airport etiquette. I saw United recently changed their policy after somebody was listening to full volume television on an airline, which I just assumed we all agreed was just a no. Like that one I thought we knew. This one I'm not as sure about, so that's why I didn't bring that one up. Follow that United one. It's absolutely insane that they had to change their policy. It says you have to put on headphones if you're going to listen to stuff on a plane. They always would
say, because again, common sense, but common sense is hard to find these days. But on the flight, even the one I just took, they make the announcement, say, please be courteous to your passengers, and if you're going to watch a movie or whatever, put in headphones. But now it's like an actual policy.
Yeah, like we're going to make you turn it off if you can't throw some headphones
Don't they even provide headphones?
I think I've been on United, they do.
Where they've offered
United flights that have the screen built in. Not every United, not every, like the Boeing,
the newer
ones do, but some of the other smaller regional ones don't.
I just think it's a must-have for any travel. So you're right. Common sense is hard to find. So this is why I'm going to ask what the protocol is. So as you know, I've told you Desmond's continued interest in basketball. So I took him to the community center last night to shoot. As you can imagine, there are 6 hoops. Cole, I'll give you the layout. On 3 of them, essentially, because they were playing full court 5-on-5. One of the hoops got placed up, and they were playing like full court. So we're down to 3. So logically, I got a 7-year-old. We got a couple of basketballs. We're going to try to choose the quietest place, right? Drew, to try to go shoot a couple of baskets. My question is, what level of courtesy should I expect from a talk perspective? Or is this just like School of Hard Knocks? Desmond's got to learn what basketball is all about. Because what happened, Gold, was we're shooting baskets on a pretty unused hoop. Eventually, 2 younger kids, probably between 16 and 19 years old, start playing one-on-one against each other on the same basket my son is shooting on. Now, look, they're doing a good job taking turns. He shoots a couple. They go up against each other. But about halfway through, he said, when people play basketball, are they always so mean to each other? Because what happened here in a highly competitive one-on-one game is some guy puts up a brick and he's just like, you ass, and yelling at each other, talking trash. I mean, smacking the, like rolling the ball disrespectfully, shooting it off the wall. I mean, he got a full one-on-one, 2 kids talking a lot of trash to each other. And then, like taking it all in. And I was like, and there was one other was going like that. And I was like, should he just learn that this is what it's usually like?
Yeah, it's competitive.
Or do I need to be like, hey,
man,
can you chill 7?
That's
Can we take it down? Like, or my initial instinct was, could you guys just chill a little? And then I thought, how I feel like I might just be the old man here, and he should just learn that this is what it's like to shoot basketball in a public community center.
You're at a public community center. If people are going to be cursing while playing sports, it's
I didn't tell him to change anything.
Yeah.
You think I just got to blindly accept this?
Yeah.
I think I might be right. I don't know. Drew, what's your thought?
I would say, yeah, you're not going to say anything. You know, it's just that environment. Also, I will say though, for those people, like if I were playing, I think being cognizant of others around you at least, or like if it's just a bunch of grown adults and you want to talk smack, like stuff happens. But I think that, you know, if I see a younger kid there, I might talk smack, but I'm gonna like the language I use is definitely gonna be
softer.
Yeah, it's not gonna be as aggressive. I don't think, just because you're cognizant of people around you. I don't know if there's anything you do or should have done in that situation other than, you know, just be like, this is what happens, man. So sometimes, you know, you get a little heated and you start talking trash. I think one thing that it feels like talking trash and like cursing they're kind of together in a way. They're kind of paired with each other. That
it is
that's kind of how it goes.
Like somebody said, like just wait till they do online gaming, and that can be cesspool.
That is worse than taking your kid to the gym and just having trash. That is way worse than
Honestly,
online gaming stuff.
Like it is part of like the general community of it. My question is like, if I take him to the gym 3 times a week, how long until he's just like telling me that my game's weak? And just like constantly berating me over how poor my play is. Gold, you had a nephew run into this. Didn't you have like one of your nephews like trash talk coming off a soccer pitch one time?
Oh, yeah, this was like...
Or was it basketball?
I can't remember which, but this was like 3 years ago, and he basically said like, that team sucked or something. Yes, that did happen.
I'm trying to teach sportsmanship too, Drew.
Yeah.
Like it's a tough... Like, and when two kids are just constantly like yelling at each other about how awful they are and how bad their shot... And I will say, both those kids' jump shot needed some work. The one
okay,
of them,
Cody.
Look, and I say that from a place
you should have given them that advice.
Yeah. I understand. Not for me. Not for me. But one of them just kept like talking trash, like his shot was going in before it was going in. He called like a made basket on like 10 bricks. I was like, you got to stop saying it before the shot's in.
Buckets,
yeah. I was like, you got to stop saying it before the ball's in the hoop, my guy. You're getting embarrassed.
You're not Steph Curry, my
with
man.
the amount of shots you're missing while saying it's down.
Yeah, I think like someone points out, there's a limit of like Drew was saying, be cognizant of where you're at. Like there's obviously certain words into levels of the profanity.
Oh, there were some that I was like, correct.
But if someone's just like misses a shot and says, you know, I can't say the S word, you know, dude, that's just going to happen.
No, that's fine.
You can't. But obviously, there's a whole nother level to it.
We had to have a serious conversation about, you know, like what words people can say and other people can't say.
Yeah.
You know, like we had to have a whole conversation about that after. It was fine. And he was like, okay, like, because he doesn't cuss anyway, even though I regularly use cuss words at home. He doesn't cuss. Neither of my kids do.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't know, man. It was like an experience. This was the first time we went, and the last couple times we went to the gym, it was quieter. And so, like, he was just shooting on a basket with, like, another kid, and nobody was playing one-on-one. This one, he got, like, the full experience. You ass! That's what he was yelling, man. Those kids were honestly.
How old were they?
Oh, again, like probably 16 to 19.
Yeah.
You just gotta.
I think again,
teens.
but this and
there's
this
no
is,
filter for kids that age. That's the other.
I was gonna say I'm not giving them a pass, but at that age, are you actually paying attention to there being younger kids around, like sub 10 years old? Like I don't think you are at that rate. So not that it's a pass, but
this is the kid from the court. Why don't you talk as from your cushy radio job? Come to the court and play me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I just said his shot. My problem was not that that he didn't make every shot. My problem, Drew, is that he kept like doing that, right? Like buckets, brick. And like at some point it's like the other kid, you know, he's got to go to the line from White Men Can't Jump and just be like, I'm going to take all these bricks and I'm going to build a house for your mom because I want her out of my basement immediately. It was just like too many called for. He had made the shot.
Someone says, yeah, Cody, make sure you go give those kids some advice. You know, make sure you give them some advice. You know,
find a partner that likes your freak.
Yeah. Cody, I'm curious. Like,
educate the youth.
So they obviously were saying the word. Is this how you? Is this how you trash talk?
Man, that S cap. I'm not heard. None of that S. Save that S. What was that from?
From Kadarius Toney's lyrics. Or Kadarius
that's
Toney's
right.
Tony.
That's
Kadarius
right.
Toney. That's what it was. Man, that was good. Someone says, "This is your chance, Cody, to tell your kid to act more respectful." Look, it's like a mixed bag. I do think that
definitely
there's
is a learning lesson from it.
but
sure.
like there's a certain amount of competitiveness that we allow, like a certain amount of like play.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of it was pretty like lighthearted in the trash talk as a part of like playing pickup basketball.
Let me be 100.
Oh man, he had fun. You know,
That's most important. Obviously, it's good.
That's the random question of the day.
Okay, because what we don't need is when he starts playing in a league. If Desmond's hitting shots and he's locking another person down, we don't need him saying
at 7, I can't have him being like, "That shot is trash," and then he just buries it on it. I can't have that at 7. You got to like work our way towards that.
talking trash to other 7-year-olds.
Yeah,
you know?
that's messed up, man. I got to draw a line somewhere.
I'm just shutting Cody down with a take. It's just that there's a when to and there's a when not to. That was one of the when not to lessons, but at the same time, it's one of those where you shouldn't do be that aggressive, but it's part of the territory when you get in these situations.
Some of it is like it's a little bit like the way I was taught around like language and all this stuff as a kid is like time and place. As in, like I cuss all the time. I didn't cuss in front of my grandma, right? You know.
Your surroundings a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
for the other the group that's playing 5-on-5, they just called him little man and like, toss him his ball back. The normal amount of stuff. I just felt like it was a little on the higher end. I just let him say it. It's fine. I just told him like sometimes people talk trash.
Yeah, you're always, but you never say anything bad about people, right?
Go outside, nerd.
Yeah, is that what you're going to go and do that? Yeah, never. All right, up next, we'll get to the 1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Let's talk more about the division and what could happen in free agency. Plus, there's a pass rusher that has been one of the best in the NFL for a while that now is expected to become a free agent. Should the Chiefs be interested, we'll tell you who that is next.
Watch Cody and Gold on YouTube by subscribing to the 96.5 YouTube channel. Cody and Gold is brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
I hope you're sitting down. The ACA Marketplace has announced significant increases on monthly premiums with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Matt B. and KC at BBS Insurance's Freedom of Choice plan now. You don't have to wait. Their plan lets you use any doctor, has 0 outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you are a small business owner or pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive. Call Matt B. and KC for an instant quote over the phone at 816-205-4664. That's 816-205-4664. Or go to bbsinsurance.net. That's bbsinsurance.net. They will customize a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what BetMGM does. Sign up for BetMGM using bonus code DUSTY and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Get into hockey, basketball, and more of your favorite sports with same-game parlays. That's what I do. I love it a lot. Live betting and more. Earn BetMGM reward points on every single bet. Take advantage of offers found nowhere else, and keep an eye out for your rewards dropping in your account throughout the year. So again, sign up with bonus code DUSTY and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. BetMGM, make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsible. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and older only. Missouri only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Please gamble responsibly.
At Liberty Mutual, we love helping people with things like customizing car insurance, just like how we customize a song for you. Catered country tune. Liberty Mutual, saving you bucks by protecting your truck. 'Cause 30 told me to only pay for what I need. Thank you, Limu. I'll always trust a Nemu with Liberty, 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 Liberty.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $59.99 guaranteed. That's right. Don't just cut back. Stop smoking once and for all. Also, lose all the weight you want. Only $59.99 guaranteed with Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating, and lose the weight. Weight loss hypnosis, Wednesday, April 1st at the Wingate by Wyndham, Kansas City. Formerly Sure Stay Plus by Best Western in Kansas City, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis, 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
My car smells fresh, so fresh, always so fresh every day. My car smells fresh, so fresh, like I cleaned it yesterday. Got that Febreze car on the vents, living life with that just clean freshness. Febreze car, if you know, you know. Up to 40 days a scent on low. My car smells fresh, so fresh, always so fresh every day. My car smells fresh, so fresh, like I cleaned it yesterday. That's right, breathe happy Febreze, la 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 la.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-939-1441. 800-939-1441.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wendy's has a new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion with Girl Scout Thin Mints cookie pieces, rich creamy frosty, and a mint chocolate cookie sauce. Which means Girl Scout Thin Mints and Wendy's Frosty, yeah, they're basically best friends now. It's like two delicious desserts just high-fived, snapped a few too many friendship selfies, and then rode a tandem bike down a never-ending road of mint chocolate frosty perfection. So, swing by Wendy's and try the new Thin Mints Frosty Fusion.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Listen between 2 and 6 on Monday, March 9th and Tuesday, March 10th for your chance to qualify for the Drives Papa Shot Tournament. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
What a clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp.
I saw you push your
I
microphone.
know, that's what I thought. Did I miss the button? Did I not look and press the button? I don't know what happened. 1 o'clock hour. I'm gonna right after the show. I'm going to get another hot tea. That's the plan. Apologies for the voice. Working on it.
I think it's gotten through better today than yesterday.
I think so. That's the
Towards
goal.
the tail end of the show yesterday, you
by
were having a hard time a little bit.
By 1:45, it wasn't good. Yeah, in fairness, yesterday was obviously we still talk for 4 hours today as we did yesterday, but because of the breaking news yesterday, I feel like that was even more talking and more, I don't know.
More intense talking.
Yeah, I feel like is what it was. And probably part of it.
Now we're just talking about,
talking about Cody at a basketball gym. We're also going to have Professor Tapp.
Oh, yeah.
You got a lesson for us.
I do have a lesson
here
today.
Does it surround that?
15 minutes.
It does not surround basketball.
Properly trash talk or something?
So we'll get to Professor Tapp. I do want to get back to the NFL, though. We know today, free agency-wise, trade-wise, DJ Moore gets traded from Chicago to Buffalo. It's one of those where Chicago had the luxury to free up some cap space given how well they drafted at the position, and the Bills are desperate. We can get back to that trade. But as it relates to the Chiefs, is there another name now that's available on the defensive line that you would be intrigued by? So Cam Jordan, who has had an unbelievable career with New Orleans, 8-time Pro Bowler. This is the first time in his 15-year career he's now going to be a free agent. So that news just came out that he's not going to get a deal done.
He got threatened to get traded so many times over the years.
Yeah, and he stayed there, and he's by all accounts a great teammate and everything. He, having played 15 years in the league, is obviously up there in age. He had 10.5 sacks still last season. And I don't know what the exact market financially is going to be like for Cam Jordan.
Do you have it because he's 36 years old?
Yeah. Do you have any interest, or is this one of those where all right, what's the point? Is this a situation where you bring him in, you draft somebody, and he's kind of a guy that can coach up some of these guys on top of it?
It is the first double-digit sack season he had since 2021. So I'm not going to try to pretend like 10.5 is coming again. This, to me, is the better Mike Evans. Because at wide receiver, I have young names, and I'm trying to do it. On defense, I'm still pretty quick. I'm still relatively young. I have a lot of young defensive linemen. Gelati, Omar Norman Law, maybe pick number 9. Karlaftis is only in year 5, right? Like, I'm relatively young in that end. If I want a one-off defensive end to go get some sacks, I could be talked into it, but it's only on a 1-year deal. To me, it's the better version of Mike Evans, as in I'd rather have an aging player on a one-off contract to make myself better at end than I would at wide receiver, knowing that Travis Kelce essentially might operate for me on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot of decent defensive linemen in free agency. The Chiefs should be interested in a number of them. Nate Taylor had said they're going to spend their free agency dollars on running back and D-line. That makes sense.
They should. The options aren't, Trey Hendrickson, to me, they're not in play for. I told you earlier, Jalen Phillips, who's only 26, would be a name I'd be interested in. I know Drew brought up John Franklin Myers. Here's Cam Jordan. They're fine. I wouldn't say there's like great options.
Allen from the Vikings. Yeah, there are a few. I'm not saying it's like,
look, they're going to sign a veteran defensive lineman. I mean, it goes without saying. They're done with Mike Dana. They're done with Derek Nottie.
Done with Minihue.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to bring in a veteran or two on the defensive line, and it still should not change how they draft. I don't know what the dollar amount is. That's the thing. But on a 1-year deal, I would be interested in Cam Jordan. Play opposite Karlaftis while you also draft somebody. It could give you an effective option there. He can also coach up some guys a little bit. He's probably only signing with a contender. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be shocked if he's going to signing in Arizona or something.
He's going to be 37 years old to start the season. It'd be kind of hard to imagine that he didn't want to just. This is no different than, I guess, when these teams bring in Bosa or bring in Von Miller, except he's had recent success. He was not a star before, but again, they don't need him to be a star. Chris Jones can still be the best player on the defensive line, and they can continue to bring along guys like Omar Norman Lott, Gelati, and others. But one more rotational defensive lineman? I'm not going to complain about that. Like, Von Miller's last double-digit sack season was 2018. Cam Jordan has done it at least in 2021 or 2022. He's done it, like, not recently, but semi-recently until he just did it again, right? He had another. But it would be way different. Von Miller had 9 sacks for the Commanders. So is it way different than bringing in that? No. But their biggest problem defensively, and this is the other reason why I would do it, because this wasn't the biggest Chiefs problem offensively, the third down part. They moved the ball. The Chiefs could not get off the field on third down. Why?
It could get after the quarterback.
Even if Cam Jordan was on a 1-year deal and the only thing he did was rush the quarterback on 3rd and 5 and longer, I think it works contractually. Like, there is a like, let's sign him to be a mercenary for this one role for the defense, which was the only part of the defense we regularly struggled in. That's the appeal of Cam Jordan. There's other guys I'd probably take over him, but I certainly wouldn't say no.
Last year he made $6 million. Now, he had a very good season, but he's a year older, so I don't know what that does necessarily. Projected salaries at 1 year for 6 again. Okay, we're talking. If that's
that's what they gave him Minihue, essentially, right?
Wasn't that much?
4 or 5?
Close to, maybe close to it.
It's not way off.
He's someone that's available. That's what you like. Cam Jordan, you go look, he barely misses games. Look at his entire NFL career. He's available every week. So you're not signing. Yes, he's older, but he's not somebody that only plays 10 games a year. He's usually available player. So that's just another name that now is not going to return to his prior team.
But again, it's also, I look at it and the mentorship part, I take with a grain of salt. I think there's like a limitation to what you can do. But if at number 9, you're going to take Bailey or Bain, and the people he gets to learn from are Chris Jones, Karlaftis, and Cam Jordan, I feel like there's a, let's get him up to speed quickly part that works a little bit better with a guy like Cam Jordan on the outside showing you the ropes. And the way defensive linemen work, and you know this, we talked about this when we were talking about Felix and some of these other players, there is not a number in which you have too many. Like, you need 6 to 7 different good defensive line players, not 4. It's not like running back where you only need 2, or wide receiver where you only need 3 good ones. On defensive line, you need it, you need the rotation twice. You need a full turn. And those guys have to be able to get to the quarterback. They haven't been able to get to the quarterback out of anybody outside of Chris Jones and George Karlaftis in years. So, and I don't know, like a 4-game run from a Minihue 2 years ago. They need somebody in that inning. Cam Jordan at least still possesses that. So, again, not maybe number 1 on my list, Gold, but I'm not saying I would say no. It's not like I would turn it down either, I guess is what I would say.
The other defensive line news today is that Jordan Schultz, continuing the reporting that we heard from earlier in the week from Albert Breer, that Max Crosby, things are heating up, and teams now believe more than ever the Raiders are open to trading him. Now, I don't think Kansas City is in play here. They're not trading Max Crosby to Kansas City.
That'd be pretty
but
stunning.
He's going to leave this division, which is great news. He could get the exact same haul as Micah Parsons. I think there's a chance it's not that just because of age, but that was 2 first-rounders and a Pro Bowl player in Kenny Clark that the Cowboys got for Parsons. But it sure seems like Max Crosby's getting traded. And maybe it happens today, maybe it happens tomorrow.
Fine. Great. Honestly, he should be gone. And not just because of the reasons we mentioned earlier in the show, which is he doesn't like Tom Brady's guy, Alex Guerrero, purporting that he has organizational power and can get people fired. That should be concerning enough. I mean, Max Crosby is, in a lot of ways, the epitome of just like football guy. We'll do anything to get on a football field. We'll do anything to stay on a football field. We'll give max effort 100% of every play, 100% of the time. Every team is better for having a guy like Max Crosby on it. The question is who? I would have thought Buffalo as a logical team, but they took on so much money from that DJ Moore deal. I'm not totally sure that fits anymore. Philly, as you mentioned earlier.
A pick that they probably could have used in that trade too.
I'm convinced it's going to be Chicago. They have an additional second-round pick, which I think they fleeced the Bills for.
And they freed up every year $20 million.
And freed up $20 million. Yeah, you're right.
Years.
$20 million
Maybe that's why
a year.
they did it? Had they had that in mind?
Well, and I think they liked the emergence of Luther Burden and Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
And they drafted Colston Loveland in the first round last year, so they feel like they've got weapons. They've got Swift and Monunga, and they got a quarterback on a rookie deal still. So I think that's part of their thought process. Max Crosby, I think, is intriguing in Chicago. We just talked about Cam Jordan. I think Cam Jordan would be an interesting name in Chicago to watch as well.
They need multiple help along the defensive line, and I think everybody for at least a year or two is going to try to model the Seattle. Seattle, what won them the Super Bowl? Sam Darnold was great. JSN's the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in football. They won because they were dominant 1 through 7 on the defensive line. They were a force on the defensive line.
Good corners too with Witherspoon as well as
they caused problems, for the Patriots in that game. And look, maybe because Campbell was hurt, maybe because he has tiny arms. I don't know, but they made him miserable in that game, and a number of other New England Patriots offensive linemen miserable in that game, and it's what led the Eagles to going to the Super Bowl multiple times. The teams who go to the Super Bowl who don't have an elite level quarterback, they have possessed one thing in common pretty much over the last decade, which is they go 6 or 7 deep on the defensive line. So if you're the Bears and you're like, well, we got a couple of guys, but we need a few more between cap money and additional picks, that's exactly who should target Max Crosby. And A.J. Brown.
Patriots.
Do you still think both are getting traded by tomorrow? And before free agency, do you think both Max Crosby and A.J. Brown will be on different NFL teams?
Yes, especially Crosby.
Who's your prediction for both?
I will go Chicago for
something about that trade today that makes it feel more
for
likely.
Crosby. I guess I'll lean there. I think the Patriots are a team to watch for both, truly. I think the Patriots, A.J. Brown, now that the Bills went out and got DJ Moore.
Too good of a fit, isn't it? A.J. Brown and the Patriots?
I mean, the Patriots got rid of Diggs. They did not trade for DJ Moore. That was the Bills. So A.J. Brown to New England feels like it makes a ton of sense, yes. And maybe Brian Thomas Jr. Keep an eye on his name. His name's floated out there for potential trades. I know you want him in Kansas City, but
I do want him.
He's a name that would make.
Mention his Buffalo potential trade partner.
New England could go out and honestly, they could find a way to do both. They have tons of cap space.
They do, and could certainly take.
All of a sudden, if Drake May had Brian Thomas Jr. and A.J. Brown, that's a huge swing.
Am I missing? Who's the other fit for A.J. Brown? Max Crosby. I can list 5
the
to 7
Ravens.
teams.
The Ravens.
They want to give up a first-round pick?
I'm not convinced it's taking a first-round pick. So
I don't know. I didn't think so before, but now with DJ Moore getting a second, I'm starting to question myself a little.
It was a second, and they
got a fifth.
They sent a fifth back. So
maybe it's a third-round value.
Yeah.
Or like a late second-round value. So maybe somebody picking higher in the second round. Drew, is there a team for the Eagles you think, or for A.J. Brown that makes sense besides?
Other than those two, you can throw out names. The Raiders technically have space.
Texans?
Do they?
Why wouldn't with C.J. Stroud? Don't you want a weapon for him? Nico Collins can't stay on the field.
Yeah, I saw. I don't know if Tank Dell's going to be back. I saw Tank Dell was doing workouts and stuff like that for the first time.
You can't count on him though.
Yeah,
that
sure.
knee is destroyed.
I would say no, only because they spent those picks on Higgins and on Jaden Higgins and Noel.
Yeah,
I don't think they would. I think they would hold out hope that those guys can develop. They also just need to upgrade the offensive line. I would take that money I'd spend on AJ Brown or use on AJ Brown and figure out a way to protect CJ Stroud a little bit more.
Do you think Max Crosby's getting a first?
Oh yeah, at least.
Okay, so you think a first and some?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's quite a bit older than Micah Parsons.
What is he? 28,
and he hasn't been quite as productive.
I
as
think
Micah
it's
Parsons,
I think
but
it's a first. I think it's a first and a second, possibly, or a first and a future third and a fifth. You know, it's something
you think
like
it's a
that.
lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they just got 4 picks for Trent McDuffie, but he's an All-Pro and in his mid-20s.
You know,
he doesn't play defensive end.
I'm hoping goes after Max Crosby. The Bengals.
Okay.
I mean, they could use somebody on the defensive line.
He's, 3 or 4 years younger than... I think the age thing was a lot of why they didn't bring Trey Hendrickson in, or why they didn't pay him. I think that's why, if you told me, hey, you give up number 10 and you give up a third, I don't know if 10 makes the difference compared to other... I don't know what you... If you're giving up a top 10 pick, what else do you need to pair with it instead of if you're the Bears, the 28th or the 26th pick or 27th pick or whatever? You know, how do those things change, I guess, in terms of what you give up for him?
Back on the DJ Moore one for just a little bit. I think that's a big miss. And so I'll be proven right or wrong.
On the Bills end?
Yes.
To give up that much? I agree.
I think DJ Moore might very well be Allen Robinson. He was in Carolina when there was nobody else on the offense. He was the only target. The entire offense was surrounded by him. He went to another team and his production. Yes, he went to Chicago, and then all of his production went down when there were other people to throw to, a more talented quarterback. He didn't get better. He got worse. He signed a massive contract. They convinced the Bills to take all this money on and give up a second-round pick. I think that this is a miss. I think this is like a desperation move by Buffalo, and Brandon Beane made a mistake. So I think they're going to regret making this trade for DJ Moore.
So I love the trade for Chicago because they free up all this money, plus they get a pick, and I think Luther Bird's going to be very good for them. Buffalo is just in a different spot than Kansas City and some of these other teams. You said the right word, I think. Desperate. They are desperately trying to keep their window open because they have whiffed with Josh Allen year after year after year. They have a general manager where it's all on him now. You already fired the coach. It's all on you to get it right. And I think they recognize they had the worst wide receiver room in football last year in terms of production, at least, out of wide receivers, despite having some production from the running backs. And so they were willing to make a risky transaction, and that's exactly what this is. You know, they can lower the cap hit for this year, but you look at what they're willing to take on and the draft pick they gave up. Yeah, DJ Moore has to instantly be like an 1,100, 1,200 yard guy, and that's not who he has been throughout his career. Now, his 2 best years were with Joe Brady, who's now the head coach. Joe Brady was the OC in Carolina, and so that's what they're banking on. But yeah, it's very risky. They're trying to appease Josh Allen, but this is just feels like a franchise that is so desperate to not admit that maybe they got to close the window shut a little bit, and they can open it back up in a year or two. And they want to keep it wide open, and it's not. The wind is blowing it shut right back in their face, and they're desperately trying to hold it open. I think it's a big mistake.
The problem is, if they don't get this right, he's never winning a Super Bowl. Because then they'll be even further behind the 8 ball, even further behind the monetary stuff. And unless they get every single pick correct in the draft moving forward, and Beane has not proven he can do that, well, then nothing's going to go right. I think some of this is it's not even like ownership. Brandon Beane knows his life is on the line, man. Yeah.
And that lady might single-handedly get down to the facility if they don't do good enough. She might
Brandon Beane. Do you like the deal, Drew? Like I hate this deal for Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't like it for that. If you'd have told me,
shouldn't bother me. But
if you would have told me straight up it was a third or a fourth, if it was a fourth, then fine. But the fact that it was a second, too, and I know they get the fifth, but it was a second-round pick. I mean, you can take, if you're Buffalo, you might be a second-round pick away, depending on the position, of significantly helping your team. And I know that DJ Moore's going to help the room theoretically, but wouldn't you rather use the pick?
60,
I would just rather use the pick than I think I would bring. I'd rather use the pick on a wide receiver than bring DJ Moore in because of at least the level of wide receiver. He hasn't been what they're going to be asking from him, I guess.
I'm not saying he never was, but as of right now, I don't view DJ Moore as a number 1 wide receiver.
Defenses aren't fearing them much more because they have him, I guess.
Yeah, that might be the reason why I dislike it. If I still view DJ Moore as a potential number 1 wide receiver, I think that this deal on paper makes a lot more sense. I don't. And Gold, you'd said earlier, where would he rank even amongst them? We were trying to figure it out, and we're like, I don't know, somewhere between 18 and 35, just depending on the wash of wide receivers you put him in and how you would individually rank him amongst those guys. But I can tell you right now, I wouldn't take him over any of the other younger wide receivers that would be in the same category as him. Guys like Ted McMillan and others, where I just be like, I'd rather have Egbuka or McMillan or like younger players who have put up similar stats to you over the last couple of years, but I just like the upper end potential, which is essentially what the Bears did anyway. They're just saying, we know that you put up similar number of yards as Odunze and Burden. We like what we got out of there. And Burden got better and better and better the later the season got.
Yeah, someone said, you guys realize he's going back to play with Joe Brady, who had his...
Yeah,
we said it you might have just said it like 2 minutes ago. Yeah, exactly. That's the entry for Buffalo. That isn't, by the way, doesn't guarantee that DJ Moore is going to be amazing. It's the financial commitment. They're taking a big risk. That's all. It doesn't mean he's going to suck in Buffalo, but they gave up a second-round pick, and they're going to have to pay this guy $20-something million a year.
Well, that was the thing. They really, quite frankly, didn't, as a team, they didn't suck without him. They bring him in, but is he that much of a difference maker? We're like, man, I don't know. I think I get a little bit nervous now if my team has to face DJ Moore. I don't think it's the same.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just lower on the list. I guess some of this is just, your faith or your belief in these players.
Welcome to the classroom. Whether it's cooking lessons, singing lessons, or how to commit a heist, this guy wants to teach you what he knows. Well, what he thinks he knows. It's not Cody to you. It's Professor Tap.
This sweater's making me feel very professory today,
Yeah.
I'm in the appropriate attire.
You're teaching today?
Teach the class. I am teaching today. It's a Thursday. We're working on editing intros today, so we got some stuff to work on during class. But today, what I'm going to teach you about is content.
I should wear a quarter zip too, I guess.
That's why I was looking over.
See if we were all.
Yeah, that's why I stood up to see if you were in a quarter zip as well.
Is it like the Masters or something? We're all wearing the Jim Nance, or just
I don't know, just decided to
the Peyton Manning?
Just felt like the weather, I guess, at least on that. What I wanted to talk about today is like another life lesson in the I told you I was trying to. Drew was trying to use his phone a little bit less. I've been trying to use my phone a little bit less.
Okay.
In an effort
I
to
have
do
not.
it. Well, it's fine. Like, look, I still use it a ton. I'm not even trying to pretend that's not the case. But I want to teach you about a study I was learning about why short-form video is so addictive. Might be exactly what you think it is, but I wanted to ask you a couple of questions and homework assignment. Oh. What? Don't shake your head at me. I can't assign homework.
Gold's not feeling that great. The voice has been going, has been struggling.
I'll give you a 1-day extension due to your illness.
Okay.
You can have until Monday. I'll give you a couple of extra days.
Okay.
Due to not feeling good. I'm not that hard ass of a teacher. I'll allow a little bit.
Excused absence.
Yeah, excused absence at least for the day. The first one is because of what they call the infinite scroll trap. You can probably imagine what that is. Once you watch 2 or 3, right? You just keep firing away.
Yeah,
you never just
it's
watch
been an
a
hour.
couple,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you get there. Your brain doesn't realize because they're so short. You're just like, oh, that one's over. Oh, another one. Oh, look, another one. Oh, look, another one.
So just keep popping up.
And then you constantly do that. So you've all had that moment, right, where all of a sudden you look down and you're like, has it been 45 minutes of looking at this?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Last night? What were you stuck in? Was there a specific scroll you were?
Well, I was tracking a bet that I had, and I got into bed, looked at that, was tracking it. Then I popped onto YouTube, which is the worst at that, even maybe more so than Instagram, because the videos.
Were you watching shorts?
Yes, because the shorts keep on happening, and then before I knew it, it had been an hour.
That's the dopamine loop. That's the neuroscience part of this, right?
Okay.
For those who are trying to figure it out. They say it is equivalent to like someone playing a slot machine. One video might be boring. Who cares? Next one might be great. Next one might be shocking or make me feel emotional. You're just like constantly playing the slot machine roulette of emotions, and that's what keeps the dopamine going for you, Drew. You're like, ooh, what could be next? The variable, and constantly get these. It's what casinos. It's how they make a lot of money off of people like me, Alex, and you. Although you and I aren't big slot machine players.
I'm not a slot person either.
You know that. You know I don't do slots.
But you scroll your phone.
Same
For
concept.
Sure.
I
But
totally
don't
understand.
I scroll my phone. I'm on social media a ton, but it's funny. You guys are talking about the video thing. I don't just sit there and watch videos though all night. Like I don't like that's not. It's so funny. You guys were talking about like, the YouTube Shorts. I don't go on YouTube and just sit there for an hour.
What's your? Is it or Twitter?
Yeah,
TikTok?
it's Twitter, Instagram sometimes, but a lot of times it'll be I'll just like find different articles and read. Like that's what I'll do. I'm not usually like
So you're
watching.
you're not getting that same dopamine hit. Drew and I are both like Reels or TikToks or
I was stuck
YouTube
on
Shorts.
I was stuck on those top like blind ranking top 5 or doing like top 5 lists, and so
getting locked
it
in?
just kept on happening and happening. I was like, and it could have been soccer, it could have been basketball, it could have been at the Super Bowl. They did that a lot. It was
Obviously, not surprisingly, a lot of this is because the algorithms know you pretty well. So they're going to feed you stuff that you want to watch. That's not by any means the least surprising part of this. Do you want to know what the homework assignment is?
Yeah.
So most people, they did a long-term study on this, and they said, most people, when you said, hey, how many videos do you watch before you put it down? And they're like, oh, I don't know, 10 to 15. They say on average, when someone gets on those short-form video screens, do you know how much they watch on average, Drew?
How many videos?
Yeah. Most people
25.
say, 10 to 15, 25.
It's way more than that.
80. So tonight, your homework assignment is to go back and realize,
I don't watch that many.
No, you do. You do.
I don't think
that includes even the second before you like flipping. You're like, I'm not interested.
I know for a fact I did not watch
Drew?
that many yesterday.
There's no way I watched.
This is a study. They say that people think this all the time.
Yeah, if I had to guess, like if I had to actually guess, I bet you it was between 40 and 50 in that brief span.
And maybe you're slightly lower. They make them short for a reason.
That's
by
crazy.
The way.
That many though? 80?
Someone says part of that is like the mind stuff. They say, oh, it's quick. I'll just watch one. Most videos anymore, and those are between 10 and 40 seconds because they know you can't keep attention for long enough. You know, it's really tough.
How long?
So how short are they?
I was gonna say, do you want to see how long we can? I thought you were gonna say how long can we last without watching?
It's second nature. It's very difficult. I do naturally pick up my phone during the break and all that stuff. I think you watch more. Someone says homework, you ass. He's got some size issues. Oh, we can't have homework? Professor
I'm not doing any homework.
But Cody,
hell
no.
Cody, I will say this as a student of this class, I think it will be very difficult to actually track the number of videos because you get so locked in that time flies by so much before you even know it. It's been an hour and you don't even know how many you've watched.
I think it's way more than you. I think it's way more than you think.
I bet it is.
You ass. I think it's way more than you think.
You want us to count?
And I'm guilty of it. I'm not even saying that.
I'll be honest. I don't know if I'm gonna. This sounds like a participation assignment. There's no good or bad. Essentially, it's
you think
like
this class is pass fail.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Did you do it or did you not do it?
Both my kids have been asking to come to my real college class. They're like, "Can we come? Can we come see you teach?" And I was like, "I don't think that's a good idea."
No, it's not a good idea.
I don't think that's a good idea. Thanks, though. They just said,
weird.
And then they were like, will you tell them about us so they know the kind of things we like? I was like, I'm not going to force a bunch of 22-year-olds to learn about your preferred hobbies in case you come to my class. At least not at the moment. We'll see. Maybe during spring break, I'll let them pop in for 30 minutes.
You see this text that we just got in?
What's it say?
It says, whoever has had the problem with not being able to smell, I have a solution, not a joke. Call me at 913. I'm not going to read their number.
913.
It's worked for 4 different people. I've tried it on. So funny update on that. I appreciate the text. You can email me, or I'm not going to start texting you. But next Tuesday or Wednesday, I finally have an appointment at ENT, and so we'll find out if there's some miracle cure for my smell, or if
But
I'm
if they
screwed,
don't have it,
or
maybe this guy's.
if I'm screwed for the rest of my life. It's been 3 years since I could smell. I can taste, which my doctor last week or 2 weeks ago was like, "Well, if you can taste, that means there must be something still there." I don't know. All I know is I will be thrilled if somehow my smell comes back. So we'll see if the ENT has a solution. My thought is if the smell comes back, isn't the food just going to taste so strong and be way too salty and everything?
Nah, you'll get used to it. Give it like a week. Maybe at first, but give it a week.
But yeah, we'll see. Thank you, text line or texter. I'm intrigued by it. If you want to, text the solution in or email me.
I'll be honest. The fact that they said, I've got the solution. Call me at this number. That just
Nothing sounds more
sounds
snake oil
sketchy.
salesman than that, man.
That sounds sketchy.
Making elixirs for you in his van.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, guys, I've tried the zinc. I've tried the special smoothie somebody recommended. I appreciate it. I've tried a lot of stuff. I've done the smelling kit where it has like 5 different scents of lavender and pepper. So the smelling salts wouldn't work the way you think. Smelling salts, it's not the smell. It's your I would still have the same reaction. It's not the actual smell of it. It's like your nerves or something in your nose would
the passageways opening up or whatever.
Someone says, "You sure you want your smell back?" There's times where it's good not to have smell, I guess. But I don't know.
For the most part, it'd be nice to have all 5 of your senses.
Yeah, I would enjoy that. I've gotten used to not having it, but it does suck.
It's weird.
So that happened. It's been 3 years, I think.
That's crazy. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. I'm not doing any homework.
Drew said he'll do some.
Thank you, Professor.
Better
I'm not doing any
student.
homework.
Yeah.
Better student.
I will try, but this is the thing. I will
Who had the better
try to-
GPA in college between the two of you? Maybe this will be telling.
Probably Drew.
I don't
Although,
know.
no, you almost got kicked out.
Well,
So I don't
that
know.
had nothing to do with the
Oh.
GPA. That was more of a, that had nothing to do with the GPA.
Yeah, that's I
My
forgot
GPA in
about that.
college was
That's-
probably 3.3.
Oh, we're not far off. Yeah,
Pretty
we're
close.
not. We're not
3.4, something like that.
I was not a 3.4. I know that.
I don't remember. If I had to
Yeah.
guess, it was 3.3, but I
Someone said, was that Alex Guerrero texting in about his idea? That, you know what? Maybe so. All right, up next, we'll get to what's trending. We'll talk a bit more about the division, and reports are that the Broncos are ready to spend on a running back. What does that mean for the Chargers and the Chiefs? That's next.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
DQ presents The Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ Soft Serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into Soft Serve. Plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may vary.
College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night. And now, FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with the College Basketball Parlay Profit Boost. Here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay you like. Maybe the early game, a rivalry game like this weekend, a ranked matchup, or you're up late on the West Coast. You mix spreads, total, props, whatever fits your read of the slate, then apply your profit boost and instantly bump up your payout. So go safe, go spicy, go with the team you've been following all season, or go with your gut. It's parlay in your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. FanDuel, play your game. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 in President, Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable boost builder tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
J. Rieger & Co. Oh, so good. Quality crafted in Kansas City. J. Rieger & Co. Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Winner of Best Craft Bourbon at the 2025 Ascot Awards. At 90 proof, it's rich, well-balanced, and oh, so good. Quality crafted in Kansas City.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
What's trending?
Cheddar, mozzarella, Havarti.
Number one on what's trending, the Chicago Bears have traded veteran wide receiver DJ Moore today to the Buffalo Bills. along with a 5th-round pick. Buffalo sends a 2nd-round pick back to the Chicago Bears. Now, DJ Moore and the Bills, financially, they're potentially going to convert some of it to lessen the cap hit this upcoming season, but he is under contract. $24.5 million in 2026. The Bears will free up $16.5 million in cap space. Seems like a great deal for Chicago. For Buffalo, they're in a different spot, as we were discussing. They're all in. They're desperate, and I think it's a desperate trade. Doesn't mean desperate trades don't work, but there's a ton of risk involved for Brandon Beane and company there in Buffalo.
Next up on What's Trending, Royal Spring Training Update. Obviously, more baseball on the way tonight. It'll be Cole Reagans, or earlier today. Cole Reagans will be on the mound for the Royals for his 2nd spring training start. Lucas Erceg made his first appearance in an actual spring training game a couple of days ago. Was it 97 on the radar gun? But the lineups are going to look a little different over the next couple of days because the World Baseball Classic, there were games, or a game last night.
This morning, 5 a.m.
Or this morning, yeah. And there's more coming up over the next few days. So we'll all be paying attention to the World Baseball Classic more over the next few days. The Royals lineup's looking a little more sparse.
We mentioned this elsewhere on What's Trending. 8-time Pro Bowl defensive end Cam Jordan, who spent 15 years in New Orleans, is now a free agent. He did not get a new deal with New Orleans. Not going to happen. Now, he can still go back there, but he'll play a 16th season. It said he is now open to leaving New Orleans. He had 10.5 sacks last year, but he will turn 37 years old.
Next up on What's Trending, according to multiple sources, $625 million in approved federal funding for the 2026 World Cup hasn't arrived yet, according to multiple host cities, including Kansas City.
Well then.
There's fewer than 100 days until kickoff. I think 103 until kickoff here in Kansas City. Some of those committees have started to say without that money, some of the fan events could be changed or security not in the place it needs to be. Don't know exactly what that is. We maybe talk about it more later in the week or next week, but at least at the moment, approved federal funding of $625 million has not hit those World Cup host cities just yet. You can read more about it over at Front Office Sports.
Elsewhere, Myles Garrett was again cited for speeding, 2nd time since he flipped his Porsche. It's his 9th speeding ticket since 2017. He was going 65 on a 45. I understand you say, hey, it's a speeding ticket. Why does it matter? It's just he's a defensive player of the year. He last time got in a very serious car accident, so that's why it's notable. This guy likes to speed. There's no other way around it.
I mean, that's one a year.
He did not go to Georgia either. He went to Texas.
I've had 2 in my entire life.
I've had 0. Drew, how many speeding tickets have you had?
You've had 0. Oh, it's because you're on cruise control on the side streets.
Never. I mean, I've sped, but I've never had a speeding ticket.
Well, sure.
I've had one moving violation. I've had 2 seatbelt tickets.
The amount of times I've gotten pulled over is more than the tickets I've had.
Well,
I've had 3 tickets for speeding. I got one of them reduced to no tickets, so I technically have 2.
But you got a ticket.
I believe I have 2 on my record.
Yeah.
But
A lawyer reduced it, or you got it reduced?
I got it reduced by going 90 days without getting pulled over.
Mine
and I got it off my record.
Yeah, it's been, I'm going to jinx myself now. It's been like 10 years or something since I.
Yeah, I got one for turning. The one moving violation I ever got was for turning left at a time I was not allowed.
I mean, since I haven't got a speeding ticket in 10 years, I mean, I haven't sped in 10 years. That's what it means.
Yeah, that, yes, officer. That's exactly.
Just like these college football programs.
Lastly, on What's
as long as you don't
Trending.
get caught.
Lastly, exactly. Last on What's Trending, Six Flags to sell Worlds of Fun to an investment group who's going to buy 7 total parks off of Six Flags. Someone was saying it's not quite the way we were describing earlier. I'm just reading the article to you. According to this, Worlds of Fun will continue normal operations through the 2026 season, and the season passes and active memberships will be honored through this season. So, including multi-park access.
Well,
so if you bought it already,
I'm going to have to check it out then.
you're still squared away for 2026, but, something could change with it.
Yeah, I mean, the park's not closing. They just
They just might change the operations or order of things. Yeah.
I know we're going to get to something else. I have a question. So the Cam Jordan thing came up, and you talking about how long he's been there. Is he a Hall of Famer for sure? Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Who's that?
Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan. Because you said he had 10.5 sacks last year, and he's 37.
In his career, he has 132 sacks. He's got the ring.
Yes.
I think when you get 132 sacks, I'd have to look it up. How many guys that had that many sacks aren't Hall of Famers? I have to pull it up real quick.
132 sacks makes him 17th overall.
All
He's the
time?
only-
I feel like, he's
all time.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of
The people who haven't, Lawrence Taylor, Jared Allen, Richard Dent, John Randall, these are all Hall of Famers. Von Miller actually is the active leader. But Jason Taylor, Strahan, the people who are ahead
DeMarcus
of
Ware, just used to mention him. He just got it. Yeah, he's
all the people ahead of him are Hall of Famers, and he has a ring. So like
that helps for sure.
I mean, good luck, I guess, making the argument for him not to be a Hall of Famer, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. So we'll see. Cam Jordan, I'm interested. I get the age thing being concerning as a Chiefs fan, but if it was a 1-year, $7 million deal, I wouldn't hate it. You still need to go draft somebody. It's a short-term solution. But I understand both ends of that debate. You might just say, hey, why are you bringing in a 37-year-old, all that? But it's a position they need help on. I would prefer Jalen Phillips, but Jalen Phillips also is going to cost way more money and be a multi-year deal.
They're going to spend the single most amount of money they should spend in free agency should be on the defensive line, though. You and I want them to spend money on running back.
And I think they're going to.
But I don't want that to be the biggest contract they hand out. I want the biggest contract for them to hand out this offseason to be to a defensive lineman. Then I can work out wide receiver a couple of different ways. I can bring back Thornton, draft one at 9. Because here's the thing about, like, if they do Phillips. If they draft Phillips, they can still take a defensive lineman at 9. But they no longer feel this like it better probably be a defensive lineman. And you agree with that. You bring in Phillips, and then all of a sudden a defensive line of Karlaftis, Phillips, and Chris Jones. For a couple of years, you'll live life. Now, you bring in that other guy, and you might have one of the better defensive lines in the AFC and have a chance of like some upper end potential of like what it could be. But you're not required to take it. It just opens up the possibility of limiting the options of what I have to do at 9, what I have to do at 29. I want draft freedom. I really, for the first time in a long time, I feel like they've been going into these drafts. They're saying best player available, but it's BS and not true. They had to take a wide receiver the year they took Worthy. They had to take a tackle last year. They've been in spots where they didn't have much of a choice in who they could
I hear you. I'm with you. But the same, we see the text, though. I mean, if the Chiefs take best player available and it's not a premium position, you know what people are going to say in a year or so. Well, yeah, but it doesn't. You know, we get. I can tell you that's the reaction because I see it all the time. Like, well, yeah, they have Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, but it doesn't. You know, people will text and it doesn't count because they're not a wide receiver or a pass rusher. So the same thing. I'm with you, best player available, but I would like it to be a premium position because if they draft a safety or
running back, or
people are going to say, well, they hit on that, but that like so you can't appease everybody. I get it, but I also think. You know, as it relates to the running backs, you mentioned how you and I both believe running back will be a priority in free agency, and it should be. The other report from Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports is that the Broncos are expected to be a major player at the running back spot. So are the Broncos going for Kenneth Walker?
I think they are going to sign Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, they drafted R.J. Harvey. He played in all 17 games, but different type of back, and also most teams have 2 running backs. And that's unless you have a Saquon or a Derrick Henry, that's about it. Maybe, you know, Bijan even had Algier for a while. You know, at the beginning of his career.
He was a 1,000-yard back, and they still drafted Bijan.
So I think, you know, you go with 2 running backs. I would not like the Broncos to sign Kenneth Walker, but I think he's in play there. I think he's somewhat in play for Kansas City as well.
Look, Denver has the 14th most cap space. It is technically, as of today, according to SpotTrack, less cap space than the Chiefs have. So, like, Denver, the difference is for them and Kenneth Walker and paying it is they have less roster holes than the Chiefs, but pretty significantly, right? They know who their secondary is. They're losing a defensive lineman, but they got a lot of other good defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Like I think they could still use another wide receiver, but like they've got some piece and a tight end, but they've got some pieces in place. The interesting part about the division is first and third in cap space is the Raiders and the the Raiders and the Chargers. The Chargers have the most cap space in the NFL. Until I told you that today. Did you guys realize that?
I did not.
Did you guys realize that the Chargers have the most cap space out of any team in the league this year? It's weird because the other teams are bad. Tennessee, the Raiders, Washington, the Jets. Those are all bad teams this previous year. That's not surprising. Although Seattle's number 6 in cap space. Now they got to replace some guys who are eventually going to walk. But the Chargers are also going to make some moves. They are going to make a splash. We keep mentioning Alec Pierce and some of these other plays. What stops them from going to L.A.?
No, they can sign him and get better. I'll just point out, and this would apply even if the Chiefs had the most cap space. The team that spends the most money in free agency usually does not equate to automatic wins. Now, you can say Seattle spent a ton of money, and that's why. Well, they got the quarterback right. That's why it worked. They got Sam Darnold right. Yeah. The Patriots spent a lot of money. Drake May played
had the quarterback right.
Drake May was an MVP candidate and almost 1 vote away from being co-MVP, as a matter of fact. So I don't think, you know, it's just about, whoever spends the most money is just going to have the biggest jump. But yeah, the Chargers probably are going to spend some money at wide receiver. We talked about the Broncos earlier, other than running back. I wonder if the Broncos go tight end. and try to see. I would have said Kyle Pitts, but he's a franchise tag guy. I think they could go draft one of the top 2 tight ends. And
I think
Sadiq or Stowers from Vandy.
I wouldn't rule that out. They tried to get a tight end, like you mentioned, last year, so it's not out of the question. Like for Kansas City, and I guess that's the other part about the cap space. The fact that they are top 12 in the league now in cap space, and there hasn't been any rumblings about Jones, does that mean they're not going to mess with his contract? You and I both don't want that.
Yep.
You and I both
should
want
just play it out.
We just think for the long-term security of the team, it is better in this one individual year to just eat Chris Jones' cap number. Look, if he's still got juice and you want to give him one more contract and play things out longer, those are all available options for you. But I think they kind of should just wear the $44.8 million cap hit this year and then make a decision. They could save $20 million. They could save $35 million the following year, depending on what they want to do. But for this year, and you're already up to 12th, you can structure things in a way. They can afford anything they want to buy this season now. Doesn't mean they're going to get the biggest free agent, but based on the amount of effective cap space they have, if they want to buy Kenneth Walker, they can buy Kenneth Walker. They want to buy Jalen Phillips, they can pay for Jalen Phillips. They can pay for whatever they want now, but if they want more than one of those things, as if they wanted to bring in a top-shelf running back, a top-shelf defensive end, pay Jalen Watson to come back, that's when they would have to restructure Chris Jones' contract, which would put us back into the 2026 competitive mode rather than 2027.
I think, though, they can restructure Trey Smith. They could restructure Creed Humphrey. They could cut Noah Gray. They could cut Drew Tranquil. Those are other ways to free up another $20 million.
Yeah, I think by the end of it, they're going to probably put themselves in that number. There are only like 5 teams remaining or 6 teams remaining in the negative, I think. So like it's at least getting down there.
Well, everybody has to by Monday or Wednesday. Everybody has to be positive.
Buffalo's still $32 million in the red and just took on DJ Moore. This might be the single biggest offseason move they make. I think they overpaid going back to it because they can't afford. They couldn't just afford to pay some of the open market. They're going to try to restructure a contract and figure out a different way to do it. But Kansas City's in a healthy-ish place. But I think Denver is going to make a big move for a running back. And I think the Chargers are going to be way more active than all of us realized. That list earlier of the top available free agents. And I think about where the Chargers, I think the Chargers roster is in worse spot than, I think it's in equally as bad of a spot as the Chiefs. How about that? I think they're further away roster-wise than we think. They need help at corner, safety, linebacker, defensive line, and wide receiver. They're not in like a way, and guard. They're not at way better position as far as roster holes go than the Chiefs are. They got a lot of different places. It just looked better because they won 11 games last year, even though they had a hurt tackle. So, like, they were able to overcome it last year. I don't think they can go into the season saying we'll just overcome it again. I don't know how they ended up with the most cap space, though.
Yeah.
That confuses me. I don't know how the hell they even got there.
Yeah, a couple of their tackles, they're not paying big money yet. They're free or they're drafted guys.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey's on a rookie contract.
Herbert's
the running
at
backs are on a
number.
rookie contracts. You know, the Bosa money's gone. You know, I think that's why. Someone was saying, didn't the Chiefs already restructure $25 million? Yeah, but they were in the hole by like 50. So it took a lot of work just
they
to
were
get
dead last.
It took a lot of work just to get positive. You mentioned the free agents. No surprise. So Trey Hendrickson's listed as the number 1 available free agent. That's where the Chargers could get interesting.
Absolutely.
Tyler Linderbaum's a center. Not going to play much of a role as far as for the Chiefs.
I would think he's just going to go to Chicago.
Number 3, with their center retiring. Number 3, Jalen Phillips. That's the name I keep going back to. It's going to be a little pricey. Injury history, but he was very effective when the Eagles traded for him midseason last year. He'll be 27 to start the season. He's someone that helps you not just at 26, but he can help you in 27, 28. So he's really a name that I'll be keeping an eye on. And then, Drew, I know you mentioned John Franklin Myers. He's an interior guy, not going to cost you as much. He's someone that would be playing opposite or
projected numbers
next
you're
to.
looking at are surprising.
Yeah, it seemed low. What was
like
the
2 for 15?
The
I think
projection
is what, 2
was
for 16, something like that.
In fairness, I read an article from Daniel. Was it Daniel Jeremiah? Talking about him getting $20 million, as in like for the total
$10 million
of the
a year.
contract.
$10 million a year.
But they weren't even saying 2 years. I think it was just like maybe that was the number. Maybe it's 3 years. Maybe it's like $24 million.
Regarding
a year.
Regarding Trey Hendrickson, Trey Wingo just put this out like 30 minutes ago. He said that the Cowboys were close to a deal for Max Crosby, but teams have upped the ante to offering 2 first-round picks for Crosby, and then since then the Cowboys are now shifting to Trey Hendrickson.
If I'm the Cowboys, that actually makes more sense.
Well, yeah,
for the short term.
Yeah, because we talked about the picks
It's
and
just
everything
money,
like that.
and
Why
I
would
got to
you
keep
get
all
some-
my
yeah.
picks, all those Micah Parson picks, and try to get young and good, and then also get better in the pass rush by paying Trey Hendrickson.
The news out of Dallas, and understand skepticism with Jerry Jones, but is that they're approaching this offseason differently than they have in years, and that they're going to spend all this money. They got Dak to restructure, and that
they're going.
They
hard.
actually think they.
It's the same talk around Cincinnati. Hey, we're actually going to spend the money this year. We'll see.
Exactly.
Considering, I think you said that last year, Cody, when we were talking about the numbers, is the Bengals and Dallas were two of the lower, bottom 5 or 10 teams in terms of spent free agency. So it's just historically they don't.
Yeah, Green Bay.
They really do.
And look, be anti what they are.
It's hard
used to doing
because last year was an anomaly. Because Gold, you're right. I could make it look pretty stupid. Be like, well, spending a free agent doesn't buy anything. Last year bought you the world. The 2 Super Bowl teams were 2 of the biggest spenders in free agency. Hell, of the final 8 teams, it was 5 of the biggest spenders in free agency. Last year's a lie. Historically, it does not buy you anything. It buys you, because a lot of times the biggest spenders in free agency were the worst teams from the year before, desperately trying to crawl their way back into or crawl their way into mediocrity. And so that just hasn't been the case. What's crazy? And I'm not as far as this. Cowboys really are 1 or 2 players away from competing in the NFC.
I think that division is wide open.
I don't think that's crazy.
I think the Giants could also win the division this year. I think that division is pretty open. The Commanders, I don't know what to make of them. The Eagles are clearly not as dominant as they were. So the Cowboys, I get the being skeptical. But you and I both think Dak is underrated in this league. They're going to have George Pickens most likely, even if it's on a franchise tag. So it's Pickens and Lamb again. Javonte Williams is back on a 3-year deal. They just that defense is a disaster. So if they go and sign someone like Trey Hendrickson and draft, you can see them in that division competing absolutely.
On the free agency market,
you have got to be smoking something over there this morning.
Is Jalen Watson listed as the top corner in the free agency market? I'm just curious because now it feels like the Chiefs need to sign him.
He is listed as the third, Tariq Woolen, who I told you I'd be interested in, actually. So that's Tariq Woolen I would be interested in if they don't bring back Jalen Watson, but Watson's behind him on the list.
And Alontae Taylor, it looks like, from the Saints, who's also young and productive. So that's fair. I mean, they're all around the same age, all available for the same reasons. You and I both agree now that they don't have Trent McDuffie. The need to sign a free agent corner is certainly higher on the list than it was before, but they're not destitute. A lot of this is my belief in Noel Williams. My question is, do they believe in Christian Fulton? Because the way they played him last year would indicate they do not.
Well, that's the disconnect between the front office and coaching staff. Again, we've talked all offseason about.
But, it might be the the Moneyball movie example of, hey, you can't play that guy at first tonight. He's like, why? He's not on the team. You can't play Mike Edwards ahead of Jaden Hicks. And you're like, why? He's not a player on our roster. You have to play Hicks. We're not going to give you much of a say here. So if the cornerback roster sets up that way, then it's just you got to play him. It is interesting. They have the 13th best, according to this, the 22nd best. But I got to say, this is really small before we end the show. It is disrespectful that on this free agent top 100, that Travis Kelce is 60. I am sorry. If he were a true free agent available to any team in football, he is not the 60th best player available, even at his age. He is not the 60th best player. He is not less valuable than Nakobe Dean. Get out of here. Look at some of the names on this. They're saying he's less important than Joel Bentonio, who's at
It's also
39.
just, we know he's not signing anywhere else, so
I know,
it just doesn't really.
But just take him off the list then, rather than put him at 70. That's disrespectful.
Isaiah Likely's higher on the list. I mean, it's come on.
They got him on the same. They got him 2 spots ahead of Dallas Goedert. Come on.
The Dallas Goedert one, I don't understand. I think the Isaiah Likely one, you have more time, obviously. So he's a better, you're getting Travis Kelce for 1 season.
Cody, your guy Marcus Mariota is 77. He's only a couple spots behind Travis.
But come on. Mariota's not even going to start. This is a tight end who finished 4th in the NFL in receiving yards.
Charlie Kohler, the other Ravens tight end, is 81.
The disrespect. Goddard had 500 yards last year. That guy had probably less.
Hollywood Brown's 91 on this list.
Well, that actually tracks. 91. I mean, that's barely made the list. You're on the list, but not really, I just thought it was interesting. We always talk about the top guys. I was just curious once we get lower on the list.
Who's the 100th? Who's
Javon Hargrave, a player I'd actually be interested
Oh,
in.
yeah.
In fairness. For just like defensive line depth for cheap. We can joke about it. I'm actually interested in former first-round pick, has some talent, bounced on a couple of teams.
But you have no interest in Charlie Kolar?
No. Dude, Hargrave had 7 sacks 2 years ago. He had 3.5 sacks last year. He had a double-digit sack season one time in his NFL career.
Yeah.
You tell